Well, I see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
And I hear it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've got it. Right.
Y'all being entertaining or what?
I'm chewing.
Oh, that's not entertaining at all.
Here.
That's the opposite of entertaining.
There, I cracked open a cold one.
Ah, a cold one. What?
The film Crack was released in 2018.
Computer, stop.
Computer. Quit it. Wait.
So what's that?
This is Monster Ultra Watermelon. Never had one before.
Right. Audacity. So I got
Are you
told
not
off.
entertained?
I got told off for doing too long a silence. So what were you doing last time?
We
Leo?
still did like 20, 25 seconds.
What?
Did you?
What?
Who told you off for doing too long a silence?
Leo said it crept up too much.
Yeah. It's
No, Leo said it crept
crazy.
up. I don't think he said it crept up too much.
No, I just noted how long it had become, and I don't
In
know why it got
comparison.
longer.
I think it just gives Owen a little bit more more room to work with
Oh yeah.
for the background noise.
Yeah, not upset
Right.
about it at all. I just thought it was funny because I'm pretty
Yeah, that
sure
we got up.
Rob told us 10, and then 10 or 15, something like that. And then
Yeah,
now
I
it's
just
25.
found the bigger the sample, the better the quality of the removal.
You know what I haven't had in a long time is samples at Sam's or Costco. Oh, man.
Ooh. Right.
Little tiny bite-sized sandwiches. Mm.
get your Audacity open.
Sliders.
They're little mini burgers, aren't they?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mike's not here. Joe, write
No,
something in the
Mike.
highlight.
No, Josh. No, Bo. What the world coming to?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have to do some benchmarks though on an SSD. Now that I'm on ButterFS.
I'm looking to check this out. Where is it gone? Ah, there it is.
Aw. There's one thing I'm missing.
Is that better?
Is what better?
I
Oh,
filled
yeah.
in the.
See, perfect. Only 3 of us. All right, if we go.
I
over
thought you
2
said I
hours
didn't
a
need
day-
notes.
What?
I thought you said I didn't need notes. No, see, and now you've jinxed it. This is going to be at least a 4-hour show.
I don't know how that's possible.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Unless Joe, you just keep adding to those notes. They're already 6 pages long.
Oh, shush. 1, 2, 3
3,
pages
4,
at
5.
most.
Wait.
Not
Are
even
you,
3 pages.
are you counting both sections?
I was counting, yes, both sections. So there's like half a page. There's one whole page and another half a page, and then half a page. Not even half a page.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that? 2.5 pages?
That's a lot. It's 11-point font, Joe. In high school, we used to use 12.
I hear your tears, and you know what? They bring me joy.
It's okay. I'll just keep interrupting you, and we'll make it go longer.
Yeah, I know you will. You'll keep interjecting something and
Come
taking
on,
a little
it's
side
3 minutes
tangent.
past 8.
See, the longer we stall, the less Joe can say because we're still aiming for
that's
2
bull.
hours.
That's bull. Unless you can interject.
Now I'm gonna do plenty
Right.
of that. You're just gonna not get like halfway down your notes.
All right,
and
let's
then
get
have to
started.
stop.
Yeah.
Hold on. I need a insecurity.
Oh, he hasn't even brought up Audacity yet.
Oh, Audacity's right here.
yeah.
I'm watching my little jiggle. What do you call that?
Dear.
Jiggle thing. And I got to get up to YouTube.
Your
chat.
monitor.
Your monitoring thing.
Yeah, that's already going. It's happening. Don't worry.
Hmm.
Everybody totally saw me.
Have you saved it though? Have you saved your project?
Oh, see, you know, wait. Yes, I have saved it. Totally have.
Yeah.
Well, while you're filling out that security section, can't we get the recording started and do our silence and
I guess.
our sync?
Yeah.
And...
Of course we can. So-
Wait, it's the 8th. What does the show notes say? Oh, we can't. Good catch, Londoner. Thanks. I would have totally read that. I would have totally read the 7th. That's good.
Did I put the 7th in, not the 8th?
I don't know who put it in. Yeah, it was the 7th. TARDIS, Joe. I think that's a joke. And Tony, that's a joke directed at y'all.
TARDIS. Yeah. Buenos TARDIS.
That's pretty good, man. Actually, I guess it was to everybody, huh? I know enough Spanish to get me in trouble. Tell everyone we're on. Did I? Oh, you know what? I didn't Twitter it.
Announced it.
Oh, we've got 8 watchers.
What do you mean?
Well, that means we have 5 watchers, which is really cool. Look at that, Nishant time traveling.
Boom. There.
He's
It's
all seeing
announced to
stuff from the
everyone.
future.
Oh yeah, Nishant's in the future. Look at him. It's the 9th over there. Doobie doo doobie 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 doobie. Okay.
All right, Tony, we're waiting for you to say 3, 2, 1, record. Come
Are
on.
we ready now?
Come on.
Ready?
We're 6 minutes behind already. It's
Yeah,
already
yeah.
full.
Yeah, Tony. We're waiting on you.
All right. 3, 2, 1, record. No trucks, but we did get a creaky chair.
Yeah, one of my kids is being loud.
Ah.
Nothing I can do
Okay.
about that, except maybe murder. But
No,
sounds
you
too
don't
much
want to
like
do
work.
that, Joe. No, you don't want to do that.
No, it's too much work. Too much paperwork, too much digging.
Right, 3, 2, 1, 0. You ready?
Wait. Security has a big problem! Exclamation point!
Doesn't
Okay.
it always have a big problem?
Never. Open source software is perfect in every way.
In every way.
Oh, of
Open
course.
source, closed source, completely secure.
Of course.
Unhackable.
Ready with you, Tony.
3, 2, 1, 0.
0.
Wow, that was a big lag.
Oh, yeah.
You two were in sync. I wasn't.
Well, you sounded in sync to us, but you
Right.
know, a little bit of latency there.
Yeah,
Ba, ba,
definitely.
ba. In sync.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da.
This is why everybody hates you, Leo.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. because you start singing NSYNC or Backstreet. It's because you were a Backstreet Boys fan, weren't you?
I was a more NSYNC guy. Chris Kirkpatrick
You'd
was my
have
guy.
you'd have been a little young, I guess, for Backstreet
Yeah.
Boys. So,
Is that your daughter?
Yeah, that's my daughter. She doesn't realize that I'm podcasting, even though she's already been told that she
Oh,
needs
it's
to be
fine.
quiet.
Give her
because
a high
I'm
five for
podcasting.
me, because that was awesome.
Leo says, "Give you a high five because your singing was awesome." That was my middle child.
Okay, go, middle child.
Go, middle child.
Go, Leo.
Yeah.
Start the show.
No, we don't do that. We still don't do that. Okay, all right. Are we ready to do this? I guess.
Where are my show notes?
I deleted them.
I
all
don't
for you.
know.
Did I actually hit record?
Tony, I just need it to be lodged into the
I
permanent
think there's a
record.
little bit of wind up going on here.
There's it's not my fault. This one's not me.
Just a little bit.
Are you sure, Tony, that we're winding you up?
Well, it's not my fault then if Owen's got to use the YouTube stream.
It'll be fine. All right, here we go. Welcome to mintCast, the podcast by the Linux Mint community for all users of Linux. Yeah, that's you. You too.
And this is Joe, and I'm missing my nap.
Hi, this is Tony, and I've been Fitbitted.
And now, buttery smooth, I'm Leo. This is episode 367. This is episode 367.5. Recorded on Sunday, the 8th August 2021. 8th of August. Yeah. Livestream information is at mintcast.org/livestream. If you see something that you'd like to hear about, tell us. Send us email at mintcast@mintcast.org. Join us live on YouTube. Post at the mintcast subreddit. Chat with us on Telegram, Discord, Facebook, or post directly at mintcast.org. First up in the news, Linux Mint working on the website. More on the Steam Deck. Ubuntu debuts its new installer and some release dates. In security, open source security has a big problem. Then in our wanderings, I've been arching. Tony's been watching cricket. Joe's been working on game consoles, and we expected more people to be here, which is why the inflection was weird. Yeah. In our intersection, we talk hobbies. And finally, the feedback and a couple of suggestions. We made it to the news. Well, we got a big update. Well, small, big, I don't know, depending on what you think about the Linux Mint website. We got a big update this last blog post. Take a look at this. Those of you on the podcast, you need to go check out the show notes real quick for the link to the blog post, or just go to linuxmint.com. It's the first blog post that you're going to see right there. Scroll down about, I don't know, I guess midway to through the blog post itself, and you're going to see the new possible. I think there's more art to be happening here, but this is the new Linux Mint website.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's the first time I've actually seen a picture of it. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. What do you think about it, Joe?
I'm not overly impressed with it, but it's there.
Oh, hold on. Do you need to be
approaching.
impressed with it?
I really don't. I don't understand why my opinion matters on it, but yeah, not impressed.
Joe,
Come
your
on,
opinion
it's
matters.
better than 1998-ish.
Yeah. Your opinion
Yeah,
matters.
it's moved into the 2002 range.
I think we've gone further because look at everything. Everything is mostly flat. There are only some gradients. So I'm going to say at least 2010.
Yeah, Yeah, I think you're
okay,
right.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, we
They're-
were
they're-
kind of in this weird gradient love affair between the year 2000 and like 2010. I guess that was when we started falling in love with everything being flat, and now everything is flat, and gradients sometimes happen. And this is one of those times. I like it though.
It's definitely an improvement.
Yeah, definitely so. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about this. This is one of the big complaints because Joe, here's why your opinion matters. Because it's the very absolute first experience you get directly with Linux Mint that has nothing to do with other people's opinions. Like on Reddit, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, Linux Mint's a good beginner distro, blah blah blah." I mean, that kind of belies what Linux Mint really is. It's not just a beginner distro, but right? I mean, that's a general I guess, opinion that you'll get about it. And then you go over to linuxmint.com, and it's like straight out of 1998, and it doesn't look great. So those on the live stream, I mean, I know you've been there before, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I could type, right, oh my God, Linux Mint. Oh, wow. You would think I was ready
You need to
podcasting.
practice that a little bit more, I think.
Oh, man, my hands are broken, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's not terrible. But I mean,
Well, it doesn't look like a wiki page.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
barely.
probably being
Just-
a bit unkind saying 1998, maybe 2002, 2003.
Okay, I guess so. But I mean, it's very basic. It's super plain. I mean, the colors are right at least. I mean, that's good. Nishan
Well, it
says
doesn't
1960.
need to be complicated or anything.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I think the new one kind of captures that as well. I mean, people go to linuxmint.com to download the thing so they can try it out. I mean, I would imagine a very small amount of people actually stick around and click on the links and learn why Linux Mint exists and check out like all the links about how to deal with it and why, who works on the project and when it started. None of that. Very few people actually go out and do that kind of thing. So this is it. The page you're looking at right now on the live stream, that's what it is. That's what people will see ever. That's it. They'll download it and then they'll never go back again. So it's got that has to be good, I think.
Well, until something breaks and they go search for it and they end up, in the forums somewhere.
But the forums actually look nice. The forums already have this feel. So if that's their continuing experience with Linux Mint, I think they're already good. It's just that first experience. What do they say? Your first impression is everything, right? Nobody forgets your first impression. I mean, it's important. So I'm glad they've done this. Anyway, that was the really cool thing about it all. Stephen J. Von Nichols, who's a prominent ZDNet writer, very, I guess, popular. A lot of folks know him if you stick around reading a lot of Linux articles and things like that. But there's a quote in the blog that said, "The years go by and I keep trying one Linux distro after the other. But for more than a decade now, I come back to Linux Mint. Why? It's simple. Year in and year out, Mint remains the best easy-to-use Linux desktop. That's the case again with the latest release called Linux Mint 20.2 UMA." So, yeah, man. I mean, you see a lot of traction about this kind of thing, and I think that's great as well. There was one other thing on here that I wanted to bring up, which was something we were talking about yesterday, kind of our putting our heads together meeting. And I noticed in this list of things, so Linux Mint does backporting to 20 and 20.1. So as things become stable in 20.2, they get backported to the earlier versions of that same major revision of Linux Mint, like the folder color switcher, GNOME Online accounts, Hypnotics, and this is the one that caught my eye. YouTube DL. One of the things that has bugged the crap out of me on Ubuntu is you install YouTube DL and it doesn't work. It just doesn't. And it's kind of a shame because I think YouTube DL is it's the backend for just about every kind of YouTube, any kind of thing, right? Like
Any kind of video downloader.
Right.
I mean, it's not just specific to YouTube. That's what it's created for. But any website that has a video, you can pull it using YouTube DL.
Exactly. So, it's kind of important if it actually works. So if you're trying to pull out audio or video or something like that yourself, yeah, the one that's available to you in Ubuntu doesn't work. But well, okay, let me take that back. In the first about 6 months after an Ubuntu release, it works fine because it's an up-to-date version. But YouTube changes their API and changes the rules every now and then, and YouTube DL has to change to reflect that. In Ubuntu, that doesn't happen because you have one version and you only get security updates.
This kind of has to be a recent years type of thing too, because I've been using Linux Mint for a long time. And when I was using YouTube DL as a replacement for the RSS feeds that YouTube was trying to block, turning a YouTube channel into an RSS feed, I had to use the pip I had to use pip to install YouTube DL in order to keep it updated and working.
That was my go-to. I mean, I downloaded the tar.gz and used it that way for a while, but that got annoying. Pip, I could at least run one command and update it. But it just seemed to me that was a lot of work for, I just need the audio extracted out of this. I mean, I use it to come into the live stream and download our audio so we have a backup just in case. And
I did that for that one episode that I had to edit because a couple of people's Audacity had messed up, and it was and Tony wasn't available, and at the time we were using Mumble, and he was the one that was doing the Mumble recording for everybody as a backup, but that wasn't there. But thankfully we had published to YouTube, so
right.
I pulled it from there. Otherwise we wouldn't have had a show.
Yeah. So YouTube DL is super important to us. It's super important to a lot of folks that need to get video or audio off of YouTube, and it's not just YouTube either. It's a lot of different websites that you can use. But right, so in the repository Ubuntu version, so I have to clarify because there's a YouTube version or YouTube DL version in Snap, which does stay up to date, but the repository version of YouTube DL does not get up to date. But here's the thing: so in Mint, apparently, this is one of the packages that they keep up to date for you. So I just appreciate that very much. And because it's not available in Flatpak, it's not easy to find. So Linux Mint has taken it upon themselves to actually keep that up to date. And it is more up to date than the Ubuntu version. I don't think it's current. I think it's, Tony, yesterday we were looking, it was maybe 2 versions behind or something like that. But I tested it and it worked just fine. So I don't necessarily think you have to upgrade to the latest and greatest YouTube DL all the time, so long as it continues to work and do what you want and all of that kind of good stuff. There was something else in there too. WhatsApp. The WhatsApp app is maintained by the Linux Mint crew, which interesting. Just interesting, the kind of stuff that they do in the background there. Anyway, what I wanted to show you, though, or what I wanted to look at was this.
We got a lot of stuff in the news, Leo.
Oh, I just wanted to look at this. Yeah, the last 3 links are super fast. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Right here. Check this out. I found it. This is the one. They've got like 10 demos here. This is the one that Linux Mint's using. So you can actually see the way that it's going to behave and all of that kind of stuff. So if you're on the, take a look at that. If you're on the live stream, you can see this is what the site is going to behave like. And I think that's pretty fantastic, man. I mean, it's one of those ever scrolling new websites that everybody has gone for. So that's kind of nice. Anyway, fine. I guess we'll talk about something other than Linux Mint on the Linux Mint podcast. But okay, here we go.
You got 10 minutes to cover everything else.
We got this. Look. Valve and AMD Steam Deck. Well, Owen pre-ordered one. Mike pre-ordered one. Neither of them are on the show.
Half the geeks in the world pre-ordered one.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited for this. Tony and I were talking about this yesterday as well, and my consensus or my thought was I'm gonna wait until the initial rush of everybody pre-ordering and then everybody ordering day one and all that stuff dissipates, and then I'll go buy me one of these other ones that are available after the fact, because I guarantee you, there are going to be hardware flaws that we don't know about, or that they don't know about on launch, that they figure out, and then in the second batch they fix. That's what I'm aiming for. This to me is going to be like a forever machine.
That video you've got a link to from Linux Tech Tips.
Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah, I went and watched that last night.
I
can't say I'm a big fan of his normally, but that was actually quite a good review. I quite enjoyed that.
My favorite thing was that he was actually excited. He doesn't get super duper excited about a lot of things, but I mean, you could tell in that video he was really excited about this thing.
Yeah, and it had some interesting features, and even he said you're going to want to buy one of the ones with the M.2 SSD instead of the... Well, you say the good screen, but the only thing the good screen has is the etched glass. It's all still 720p.
Right.
Which, for gaming, is perfectly fine, but, even he says for media consumption, it's not really the greatest, so...
Yeah, I think he was talking more about the glare, and he was saying for the extra, what is it, $100, it was probably worth it for that alone.
Yeah. For the, what was it, the $649 price tag?
Yeah.
And the 512 gig SSD.
Yeah.
But, his only, and it wasn't a complaint with gaming. He said 720p is perfectly fine for gaming at that screen size.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think of the Switch.
60
it's the
hertz
same screen size.
Yeah.
And that's 720. Actually, this is 800p, not 720p. So, I mean, you're getting more pixels than a Nintendo Switch, but it's also going to be a little bit taller as well.
Right. But you're missing some crispness if you're planning on watching a TV show or a movie from that same handheld.
But hold up. Let's step back for just a second and talk about
you're
that.
Planning on using it as a desktop, so don't even.
Well, right, but even if you're going to use it that way, does the Nintendo Switch allow you to watch Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, this, that, whatever, all these other ones? Does it?
I'm sure if it's hacked, it does. Look,
it doesn't.
I'm
sure if it's hacked, it does.
Well, but you have to hack it.
No. I'm not saying this isn't a good device. I'm saying that was one of the negatives. If you're going to talk about the positives, you have to talk about the negatives with the device.
You're right. No. What my point, though, is that you cannot do this on other handheld devices because this is an actual full computer. Yes, it's 720p, so it's not perfect, but the fact that you can just pop open Netflix on your device is absolutely fantastic because other devices in its category don't do
We were watching streaming video on 720p for years before we got full HD.
Exactly.
So, on a device that's only a 7-inch screen, I don't think it's a major issue, personally.
I don't either. I mean, seriously, put the thing on the table and set back about a foot.
No, what got me?
You won't notice.
I mostly agree with you there. Now, I do wish that it had the capability of 1080, but I understand that, with battery performance and everything else, it was better to give it the 720p screen.
Oh, 100%.
But no, what really kind of hooked me on the device, I still don't think I'm going to get one at this time until they start hitting the used market, was the fact that he could hook up USB-C to it, hook it up to a monitor, and run it at 4K 60 hertz.
Woo! Yeah.
Now, that was awesome.
That even impressed the engineers while they were there. He plugged it in and he looked to them. He's like, "Is this supposed to work?" And they're like, "It should." But he even thought, I don't know if it's 30 frames or is it 30 hertz, 60 hertz, whatever. But he did look, and it was.
Go watch the video, folks.
Yes.
The idea of having that, now it's not exactly pocketable. But the idea of having that you can carry it around and then, set it down and hook up one thing and you're good to go. And then it can go into a small bag and you're perfectly fine. I mean, that's a lot of the reason I have the tablets that I have.
Yeah. So my last thought on this is, as long as I can wait, here's the thing. I'm super excited about this, though. As long as I can wait to get it in that second batch with the hardware fixes, I'm absolutely going to get one, and it's going to be a replacement for the machine that I'm on right now.
The only other negative that I really heard about it was that someone will find a way around it, is that the M.2s will be non-upgradable.
Honestly, I don't think we're going to run into a situation where those M.2s are dying. But if it's too small for you, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
It could be like a Raspberry Pi, though. At some stage, they'll bring out a version 2, and they might ditch the 64 gig one and go 256, 512, 1 terabyte.
Well, somebody at iFixit will open the thing up and figure out how to replace the hard drive in it.
Yeah.
All right, moving along.
All right, next bit is turns out, speaking of Steam, Linux is up to 1%. So Nishant says that's due to Chrome OS. But I'm wondering, is it not also Steam Deck hype? Or is it also Windows 11 hate?
It very well could be Windows 11 hate, but I don't really think it's Steam Deck hype at this point because there aren't a whole lot of other devices that are geared specifically for Steam Linux. So maybe it's a bit of a natural progression, but I don't think it's a Steam Deck that's pushing that.
Yeah. I don't know that it's Chrome OS. Nishant, do you have any numbers to back that up? Because
I don't see how it could be Steam Deck pushing it because it hasn't come out yet. No.
So what I'm getting at is that it's not the Steam Deck on Steam that's pushing it. It's the fact that people are starting to test things out to see where Proton's at.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, they wouldn't have to install the Steam Linux in order to test that. Or is this just Linux on Steam?
Steam on Linux. So,
okay.
I mean, that might...
Or Steam on Linux, yeah.
That might extend to Chrome OS. Which,
you're talking about gamers that don't currently run games on Linux who think, oh, well, I might give it a try just to see how it works and performs.
Yeah. Right. I mean, because there's a ton of games that work, 95% as good as on Windows already, and that's getting better and better. And the promise of the Steam Deck was 100% compatibility with everything in the Steam library.
I read that and I thought it was like Steam OS. Like Steam OS Linux.
You mean the 1% thing?
Yeah.
No, it's just the Linux market share of
people that are running Steam on Linux. Okay.
Right, correct. Yep. That's the idea. So
it's Windows 11 hate.
Probably a bit of both.
I mean, well, we're going to talk about something in security that kind of goes toward that anyway. But
if we ever get to security,
we'll get there. So just to put that in perspective, right? 1% seems like a tiny number, but it represents about 1.2 million people on Steam. Well, 1.2 million devices, unique devices on Steam. So that's a lot. That's a lot of folks. And
I got like 15 of those devices.
Well, right. That's the idea, but I think it's account bound though. So even if you have 8 devices or whatever, I think you're still a customer.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, but I think it comes more from the hardware thing. So if you've gotten the hardware survey on multiple devices, then maybe you account for more than one. But I would imagine they wouldn't send you the hardware survey a gajillion times. Well, at least not on purpose. Anyway, so Steam is up, Linux is up. I think is it? Should I say it? Is it the year of the year of the Steam desktop?
Don't say it.
The year of the Steam desktop. All right, got it.
No, don't say it.
All right. Well, next up, real quick, Ubuntu is debuting their new desktop installer thingamajig. Have y'all seen this? Have y'all gotten a... Oh.
No.
Well, I put it in the show notes, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting way to deal with this. We're just looking at the screenshots from 9 to 5. We have the link in the show notes if you want to go take a look at that. But it's not different. It looks a little different. Certainly the hard drive thing looks a little bit different. The disk allocation area. I don't know how that's going to actually work. I need to fire that up. And
so will all the official all the official spins be using the same installer?
No, I confirmed with Dan on the Ubuntu team that no, they are not. They're going to stick with Calamares. So I would imagine each distribute or each spin or each flavor is going to make that choice for themselves.
Cool.
That's it. So go take a look at that, test it out. If you ever thought, hey, how do I contribute upstream? This is it. Go test that thing and let them know your thoughts on it if anything breaks, especially hardware compatibilities and things like that. So thanks to Dale, a while ago, the Debian release date is August 14th. So Debian 11. Woohoo. Does anybody plan on running Debian 11?
I'm gonna install it on one of my spare laptops. I was gonna do. We're recording Distro Hoppers Digest on the 18th, so if I can get it on something for a couple of days before then, I'll do a little update on it on Distro Hoppers about it.
Yeah.
And then talk about it on the next show, probably, because that'll be the following weekend.
Yes. So yeah, Paul Gievers announced that on, when was it? July 23rd. So it was actually before the last show. I think we may have even talked about it a little bit before, but I don't know if the date was firm or not. Anyway, one of the cool things, which is thanks to Nishant and Londoner who let us know about this one, we have Alyssa Rosenzweig has gotten Debian running on the Apple M1. So this happened around July 25th. And is this not impressive as heck? I mean, we're talking, this is months and months, if not years of work by Marcan and all of the folks over at Asahi Linux that enabled Alyssa to do this. And I think this is fantastic.
The great thing about this is if Debian's running on it, then it's not that much of a push to get it running on some of the other Debian-based distros.
Oh yeah, give it to the end of the year. We're gonna have full on Ubuntu running on this thing, and there might even be by the end of 2022 a button to press that just says download for the Apple M1. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah. Oh yeah, kernel 5.13 is a big thing. 5.12 got a bunch of what I think enablement for Apple M1. 5.13 brought even more in, but I think it's just the fact that it all runs at all. Because I mean, you have to have a graphical stack, which isn't just the kernel. I mean that work is done by Marcan and co. Over at Asahi Linux, and then submitted upstream. So it's super important the work that they are doing to let the kernel do what it's doing now. Anyway, one last announcement, which is Elementary OS 6 finally has a release date. And by finally and by release date, I mean maybe. Because you have the elementary Twitter has been teasing time after time again that it's getting close. And we see there were a couple of things, actually. There were two things that got this. In GitHub, they had changed their toast something or other to have a date of this day, which is Tuesday. That might look like that's going to be the release. So August 10th is, So is anybody doing anything exciting on Tuesday? That's the tweet. And I'm going to guess that's the elementary release date right there. So are y'all going to try that out?
It's not one that I really go for.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I like it though. I mean, they're the design decisions that they make. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about elementary. Of course, they do the things like enable open source, programmers to get paid because it's just a matter of course within their store. But I mean, that doesn't work very well if you don't have a good platform to run all that stuff on. And I think that's where the design really comes up and really shines. Is that it's just a good, well put together desktop environment, and it's familiar. If you've ever seen a Mac before, it's going to be a very familiar workflow for you. So I think it's going to be a good thing. The only thing that and sad is the wrong word, but and disappointed feels too strong. But I feel like this thing is going to be shipping with kernel 5.4, I would imagine. and that's old. I mean, I can't do that on my desktop. My desktop requires 5.9 or above, which, I mean, the way that I get around that with Linux Mint is they offer the Linux Mint Edge ISO, and that comes with 5.11, so everything works out of the box. But I don't know that Elementary OS is going to ship with 5.11. Is that a thing? I don't know. We'll have to see. I wasn't in on the beta testing or anything like that to know. But yeah, once it releases, I'll test it out and see what's going on. But I guess it's to be seen.
Debian's going to be the new Debian release is going to be 5.10, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
that's the long-term support kernel on a long-term support distribution, which I think that's perfect. That goes hand in hand. All right. Well, that'll do it for the news. Let's head down to security. So everybody has a problem. Everybody. Open source, though, has a slightly different set of problems, right? Microsoft and everybody else, when they're programming and they do it all closed source and nobody can see it and anything, has the, and I hesitate to say advantage because it's not really an advantage, of security through obscurity, right? Nobody can see the code. So, I mean, exploits that you would be able to do by gleaning information out of the code is kind of off the table unless you're just one of the best reverse engineers in the world. But open source has the opposite problem, right? All the code is out in the open, meaning anybody with the ability to read that code is able to learn things about the way that the software works that you don't get with closed source stuff. So this week at the Black Hat Security Conference, wait for it, you had the OpenSSF, the Open Source Security Foundation, has, I guess, really kind of put their money where their mouth is, right? I mean, this is a conglomeration of people like the Linux Foundation, GitHub, IBM, HP, Intel, Facebook, Google, Cisco, Microsoft, Huawei, Samsung, VMware, right? And all the way down to small companies, small companies like Red Hat. Right? I mean, so you have a huge group of people that have come together and said that patching holes in open source software is absolutely important. And this is the thing that I've been saying for years and years and years. I mean, the one that really put it on the map for me was when we found flaws in Openssl, which is the thing that secures everything on the internet. So, right, like if there are flaws in Openssl, we should probably get those taken care of. Obviously, there's 1 million people working on that package. Wrong, it was one. And that guy wasn't getting paid. So this guy was single-handedly securing the internet for every single person in the world. He wasn't getting paid, and it was just him. That is a huge problem. So eventually he got paid. He got paid a good chunk of money. Now he's got more people that he can work with and things like that. And bigger companies are more receptive and watching and sending patches upstream and all that kind of good stuff, right? But that was years ago. That was like a decade ago by now, probably. I don't know, maybe not. But that is the problem. This is the problem that we're that they're really trying to attack at this point. And we've got pretty much every big company on board that deals with open source software in a direct way. So yeah, the other Heartbleed. And
but that's always been the double-edged sword, so to speak, with open source software, isn't it?
Right.
Because the code is open source. So yes, you can go searching if you know what you're doing. I don't. I'm not a developer or a software engineer, but for those that know what they're doing, they can go searching for vulnerabilities and try and report them. But also, the bad people can go searching for vulnerabilities and try to take advantage of them.
Mm-hmm.
So
well,
it's who gets there quicker, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, and the good guys will tend to inform the company or maintainer that something is wrong, and generally give a proof of concept, and sometimes even give the fix. So, I mean, with those things, as long as everybody's doing it, it's just the problem is nobody's doing it. So again, that's what this OpenSSF thing is all about: is coming together and fixing the most important stuff that that we use. And so they have a prioritization thing going on. So they have security scorecards, a criticality score. So the scorecards are basically how secure your software is. Criticality score is basically the way that they're going to hierarchize these, basically order them and triage them. That's the word. Criticality score is the thing that will allow them to set up a triage, so they take care of the most important junk first and then start working their way down and working on the less critical stuff, as long as there's nothing more critical going on. And they also offer, and I think this is really interesting, a security software development edX course. And for something like this, especially from something from the Linux Foundation and all these other companies that really, really love their money, these are not free courses, except these courses right here. These are. So they're 3 free courses on how to develop secure software. So I mean, anybody making software that touches anything that has anything to do with security or personally identifiable information probably needs to take this course. It's just good knowledge to have. And I think that's it, right? I mean, writing secure code in the first place prevents a lot of the issues. But we'll see how that goes over the next couple of years. Another thing, I think this is broader than this, but the NSA CISA report outlines risks and mitigations for Kubernetes. So, I mean, Tony, you've got some information down here. 2 of the largest government security agencies are laying out the key cyber threats to Kubernetes, the popular platform for orchestrating and managing containers, and ways to harden the open source tools against attacks. This, I think, is a wider problem than just Kubernetes, because Kubernetes is all about the containers, and I think what has happened with containerized software in general is that you just pull it and run it, make a couple of tweaks to make it run the way you expect it to run. But are we really actually going in and verifying the existence of good security within these containers in the first place?
Well, no more than we are with, any other installer.
I was going to say, for the general desktop user, then they probably never do that.
Right.
But if you're running mission critical servers and stuff like that, and your IT guys are installing stuff, maybe they should be having a look just to see if they can see any glaring things wrong with software.
Well, in a perfect world, Tony, you're right. That's the whole point.
But whether they've got the time or the money to do that, that's a different issue.
Exactly.
Right. And it's probably a whole lot easier to, change the image in some way after it's been verified, since you're still pulling it from the same locations, unless you're building your own repo. But yeah, it's the same thing with any type of application installer. I mean, the same things can happen.
Yeah,
with apps.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, we have supply chain attacks everywhere. That's what got SolarWinds in trouble in the first place, right? But I think just in general, this is a problem for us, and this actually goes back to the OpenSSF and what they're doing. They're focused on software, but this particular issue with Kubernetes and, well, really Docker and any other containerized type software is, I mean, are we doing the due diligence? Are admins that are deploying this in the real world doing the due diligence to actually verify that it is as secure as if you were to do it the old-fashioned way? And not saying that the old-fashioned way, that the defaults are good or anything like that. It's just that I think when you have your hands in the middle of everything and it's not so easy, you tend to not gloss over a lot of those kinds of things. But when it's basically just a Docker run whatever and it works, then there's no need to dig too terribly far down, other than to maybe change the port or something like that, or enough to get the Docker Compose file working just right.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Mm-hmm.
You know how you get an ISO and you get an MD5 key that you can check the ISO validity with?
Yeah, the hash. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is there any way that they could do that with containerized software?
Yeah, absolutely they could.
I think Docker already does something similar to that, but that's not really the problem that we're hitting. It's basically, I mean, in that container that you're pulling down, is there a user account that's enabled that allows, root access to the container itself so you can do a DDoS attack easily or something like that? So it's not that we're getting the wrong container, it's that we're getting the container that is misconfigured in the first place.
So it's the actual container rather than the software you're running inside it that's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, think about Windows machines, right? I mean, like they had, if you were running SMBv1, and everybody was, before 2017, everybody was, that was inherently insecure. And so we don't know that about these containers unless you actually go down and do some kind of audit on it. It could just be broken from the start. And that's not good because people tend to just, I need a database, boom, container, it's there, database is ready to go. Go for it, go ahead and use it. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough nut to crack, which is, why it takes 50 multi-million-dollar companies to join the OpenSSF to make any kind of noticeable dent in software, and then we got to do the same thing with containers. Anyway, another quick one. So we were talking about Windows 11 and if that was kind of pushing people to Linux. I like to think it is, but I don't know for sure. And one of the big things, right? One of the big things is that you have to have Secure Boot on to be able to install Windows 11. There are hacks, yes, I know, but you got to have Secure Boot on. 99.99999% of people that are running Windows 11 are going to have Secure Boot on, and you need a valid TPM chip that is compatible with Windows 11's compatibility list. So those two things together, right? I mean, that disqualifies a ton of people. Not to mention that CPUs from 2015 and before are just off limits. You just can't. So I mean that's driving a lot of people away from Windows 11. I mean, well, the people that are thinking about it, I guess. But I think one of the chinks in the armor here is going to be this right here. We have now proof of concept defeating TPM in less than 30 minutes. So I mean, and these are kind of cheesy, I think. I mean, there's PCI leech DMA attacks because VTD was on, and most Windows machines ship with this off. So unless you're going in and turning it on, you're not really vulnerable to that. Authentication bypasses with tools such as Conboot, but Conboot is a password resetter thing, and that is I don't know. There's a lot of tools out there that do that kind of thing, but Conboot is really good at it and really easy. But the fact of the matter is that your hard drive should be encrypted via TPM, but somehow Conboot's able to get around all of this. And then you can use tools like LandTurtle and Responder to pull data from USB Ethernet adapters. So while TPM is important and should be used, yeah, I mean, there are absolutely 100% ways around it. So it seems like Windows 11's requirement for TPM so that everybody could be secure is a little overstated, I think. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
Well, anything can be broken. Now, I have heard mixed information on the hardware limitations for TPM. Okay, so yeah, you're supposed to have TPM for Windows 11, but I'm not sure how hard of a requirement they're planning on keeping that because of older hardware.
Oh no, they'll keep it. They don't care. Why would they care? They're just gonna go out and buy another $299 laptop. And
yeah, they want as many people as possible to, stay on Windows. And there are a lot of people that have machines from 2014, 2013 that aren't planning on getting rid of them anytime soon.
Well, 2025 is not soon. I mean, Windows 10 will continue to run on those machines until 2025. So if you want the latest and greatest, then you're not going to get that with Windows 10. What are you going to do? Are you going to go to Linux or are you going to buy a new laptop? Yeah, most people are going to buy a new laptop.
Yeah, okay. That's okay.
Yeah, by the time 2025 comes along, most of that hardware is going to be 8, 9, 10 years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what's funny is that Windows and Microsoft had that issue with Windows XP. There are still machines with Windows XP on them.
Windows XP.
I'm sure that there are still machines out there with Windows 98 on them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, typically those just have networking stacks that don't work anymore, so they're harder to get on the internet at least. But, I mean, you're going to have the same problem, right? I mean, that was what we heard with the with Windows 10, right? This is going to be the last Windows. I know that was from a developer and that wasn't the official stance of Microsoft, but I mean, it seemed like that was the right choice, right? I mean, stick with the same operating system and I mean, don't make a new operating system. That way, everybody just continues to get updates, and then you do announcements every couple of years saying, "Hey, this stuff's no longer going to be supported," and you just shear off, 12-year-old hardware every couple of years or something like that. But that's not the case. Windows 11, it's a thing, and so I guess we'll see how much Windows 10 we're running in 2028. A lot is the answer to that. It's going to be a lot. All right. Well, any last thoughts on any of that? All right. So the last thing I'll say is, Nisha mentioned it as well. The year desktop is 2025.
I see a lot of low-cost used computers hitting the market around then, and that doesn't bother me in the least.
Oh, yeah. Same here. Same here. All right. Let's hit the wanderings. I 100% get to blame Tony and Joe for the length of the wandering section because I have one point that I didn't even type out.
That's cheating.
Yep, it's all my fault.
There it is, right there. That's it.
And yet you're still probably going to talk more than anybody else.
Nope, 100% guaranteed. Okay, not. But yeah, I've been tinkering around with Arch. It's been years, man, years since I have even thought about using Arch, but over on Linux user
Didn't
space,
you just use Garuda not all that long ago?
Oh, come on, that's not Arch. Just because it uses Arch packages does not mean it's Arch.
It's Arch.
Look, I know. You Pac-Man SYU and now you're running Arch. No, if you build it using Arch,
Leo,
what?
You're talking about a subject that you're going to be discussing on your rival show. Is this allowed?
Oh, okay. And this is why it's going to be short, and I'm not going to go very far into it. But yeah, on Linux user space, we chose Arch, and I mean Arch, not Garuda, not Manjaro, not Arco, not whatever. Arch. Mostly so we could try out the installer thing.
The hard way.
Yes, the hard and you know what's funny is that I think I've been in Linux long enough that it doesn't really seem that hard anymore. Because the hardest part is getting the partitions right. That's literally it. Once you get the partitions right, then everything else is just follow the Arch wiki and make some choices. That's okay. Actually, you know what? The hardest part is picking a desktop environment. That was the hardest part of Arch.
Yeah, but the hardest part, really, if you're not a techie like you are, is understanding what commands you're actually copying and pasting and putting into the terminal.
100%. And that's where the Arch installer comes in. I mean, it's a TUI based installer, so it's not like it's fancy or anything like that. But I mean, it'll walk you through the whole thing and get you set up to where you can at least boot and get working, so you can start making some real choices about how you want your desktop to be to behave and all that kind of stuff. So I've avoided that so far. I've done it the hard way. I did it on my laptop. IWD is a lifesaver and extremely annoying at times. But yeah, it's been a ride, and it's been way less difficult than I thought it was. But I think that's like Tony said, I'm a nerd now. So yeah, I think I got around a lot of that stuff.
You gotta get the T-shirt.
Yeah,
I use Arch. Just ask me.
So I have a sticker floating around here somewhere, the Arch A, but I went with ButterFS just so I could have rollback capability. But something I'll talk about in the Linux Energy in a little bit is I went ButterFS on my Linux desktop as well. So if you're watching this on YouTube, that's coming off of Linux Mint on top of ButterFS, backed up by timeshift backups over and over and over and over again. So it's been a ride. I was very worried about it today. Not that it would crash or anything like that, but because I would have forgotten to reset up, check some box or something like that. But yeah, it seems everything's good. Lots of chatter. There are apparently people watching the show, so it's working. Yay! All right. So Tony, what's going on? What's going on with you?
Oh, you come to me at last, have you?
At last.
Yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks since I was on the show because I missed the last episode. And over here in the UK, we've got a new cricket tournament. And if you don't know what cricket is, there's a link to this tournament. It's called the 100 Cricket Tournament, the 100. And basically, it's two teams that get 100 balls each innings. And I'm not going to go through the rules of cricket, but there's plenty of websites out there for you American types who don't know anything about it.
So
But,
how many crickets do you need to score a point?
Well, cricket's different to baseball. We don't have a diamond. We just have an up and down between the wickets. So if you hit the ball far enough so that the opposing team can't knock the bails off your wicket, you can, and the two batsmen can run up and down once and get between them, then they score a run. Yeah. And in traditional cricket, they have 6 balls to an over, but in this cricket, they have 10 sets of 10 balls and a bowler, or a pitcher as you would call them in baseball, can bowl a set of 5 or a full set of 10 if they want at any one go before they have to change bowler. But it's really exciting. But the great thing about it is that this is a tournament that is involving men's and women's teams. And I've really found the women's game a lot more exciting than some of the men's games. It's been really good. Yeah. Because, it just feels a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting. So, I've really got into this new tournament.
When are you going to start watching hockey?
Oh, no. That's just death on ice.
You watch it for the fights, man.
There aren't as many as there used to be.
Yeah, that's just death on ice. So anyway, health-wise, I had my annual blood test done a couple of weeks ago, and I was 3 or 4 years ago. I was classed as being pre-diabetic after I had a stroke. And so I had to lose a load of weight and get my blood sugars under control. And my blood sugar results came back this time, and I'm creeping back into the pre-diabetes level because I've been not exactly sticking to a fully healthy diet. You know, the ice cream and the cakes and the bought pizzas and things like that have crept in. So I'm having to get control of my diet again.
If you want to have a talk later on about how to make sweet foods that have little to no sugar in them, then probably the guy you want to talk to.
Oh yeah, I can do sweet stuff without using sugar, using fruits and things like that. But I've just been getting lazy. So I'm having to go back to, which we'll talk about later in the innards, but I'm having to go back to basics as far as my cookery goes. So, leading on from that, I decided to go out and get myself a Fitbit. I bought the Fitbit Charge 4 last Thursday. So I've had it 2 or 3 days now, and I'm actually quite impressed with it as a fitness tracker. I've never had a fitness tracker before, but my wife bought one, the Fitbit Charge 3, about 12 months ago.
What color did you get?
I got the purpley one.
Rosewood, I see.
Yeah, it's very nice, actually. The reason I picked it was because it was £5 cheaper than the black ones on Amazon when I looked.
Oh, yeah, that's a man after my own heart right there, man. I don't care what color it is. Actually, I got it.
Yeah, actually, it's quite nice.
No, I'm still liking my S3 Frontier.
Yeah, but this is really good. I am really enjoying it. And this one is an upgrade on the Charge 3 because it's got GPS in it. So I set it for a walk earlier on this afternoon, and it actually, when I finish the walk, it creates a map of where I've been and mileage and, various zones where your heart rate's been at higher than others and all that stuff. So yeah, it's good.
That's
It's getting
pretty
me off,
cool.
and it's getting me off the couch every hour to do at least 250 steps between the hours of 9 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the evening.
Pretty smart. Yeah,
pardon?
I've been looking at these as well, and I think if the Apple Watch that is coming out does have, I think it was going to be blood pressure and blood sugar. If it has those things, I have to. I'm trying not to die, so it'll help.
I don't think Fitbit does that, but there's a couple of things it does do.
Well-
but you've got to go for the premium community thing, which costs you £8 a month, or 80 quid a year if you go for the paying it annually.
Yeah, nobody's really doing it right now. At least not, well. So yeah, it is big for Apple to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're going to have a price to match. It's not going to be $100. So I'm okay with that though, just simply because I know I need to take better care of myself, and these are just easy things that I can look at and be like, all right, maybe I should cut back on the beer on the weekend or something. It'll actually give me real actual proof to say, yeah, you should do that. Because
I might have to do something crazy and switch to Michelob Ultra.
Oh, gross. But I mean, yeah, kind of. One less.
Well, the good
whiskey
advantage is I'm a vegetarian and I don't drink or smoke, so
sour. There you go.
I've got a head
that going
start.
for you. Yeah, for sure.
But so finally, we've already talked about this, but I've not been really doing much special Linux-wise for the last couple of weeks ago. But as I said in the at the beginning, the ISO for Debian drops next week, so I plan to give that a spin, and hopefully, if I manage to get it installed, I'm gonna run it up and talk about it on Distro Hoppers. So yeah, that's about as much as I've been doing Linux-wise the last couple of weeks. I've been watching too much cricket. I've not even been doing much modelling.
You can't model and watch cricket at the same time?
It's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, what you been doing, Joe? I can see lots and lots and lots of.
Oh yeah. Those notes are huge.
And lots
Huge.
and lots and lots and lots.
Yeah.
All right, timer starting now.
I talked about some of this on the Saturday show last week, but I wanted to get a little bit more in depth into it. I was able to pick up 3 red-ringed Xbox 360s and a PS3 for $20 on Facebook Marketplace. I also have 2 other Xbox 360s that have had issues in the past. I'm not too worried about fixing the red ring devices, although I may do the temporary fix with some pennies just to say that I have done it. But they will.
Oh my
work.
god, that's the penny heatsink trick.
Yeah.
Oh my
Because
god.
what happens is, I don't have an air gun, so I can't do the semi-permanent fix for it, and I don't have a rework station, so I cannot do the actual fix for it.
So hang
And
on.
I'm not going to pay like $7,000 for a rework station.
Well, of course not. Are you gonna try to find like some 1950s pennies that are actually copper, or are you just gonna hope zinc does well enough?
Probably hope zinc does well enough. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about fixing either one of the 2, and I'll get into what the third one in just a minute. But I'm gonna have to. At most, I will do it on one of them, and that'll be, like I said, just to say that I did it and I got it working, even if it is only a fix that works for a couple of weeks. But I should be able to get the other 2 that I had sitting around up and working again, which means I'll have like 3 working Xbox 360s and 3 that, 1 that kind of works and 2 that are for parts.
So what do you do with Xbox 360s anymore? Do you still have a bunch of
my
360 games you want to play?
Yeah, and some of them haven't been backwards compatible to the Xbox One, and I don't know if they will for the Series X. So, yeah, I mean, and who wants to pay Series X prices if all the games you want to play are on an older system.
Yeah.
So-
Wasn't there a thing in Windows where you could play Xbox 360 games?
I think some of them, but I'm not sure about all of them. And I know that there was a way to like stream between the two or something like that, but
Oh,
I don't remember.
Yeah, I got you.
But my wife really likes her Xbox 360, so I try to make sure that she has one that's working. Now, surprisingly, the PS3 just worked with no issues that I could find, but I also don't have any games for it. I need to pull out some of my PS1 games because I think those work on the PS3.
And that was
and then-
the PS3 Fat, right? The big one?
Yeah, it's the fat. And then now I know that only one of the models of the PS3, even the PS3 Fat, was backwards compatible with PS2, but I think they were all backwards compatible with PS1. I'll have to check. So with this one, I'm assuming that the issue was an overheating problem, which is very common for those. And the thing just needs to be taken apart and cleaned and put back together, maybe some new thermal paste. But the plan for that one is to actually put custom firmware on it and put in a much larger hard drive into it and, really see what its capabilities are. Basically do the same thing with it that I do with the PSPs and turn it into an emulation station and put all of the games onto the hard drive instead of doing disk swaps. Now, one of the 360s was one of the very first 360s that uses a slightly different power supply that I just plain don't have. It also doesn't have the HDMI out port. It has that special connector and then the
Hold on, wait.
RGB.
For the power thing, that's what you use a wire coat hanger for, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep, you just
course,
stick it
of
in
course.
there and
Yeah.
stick it in the outlet and you're good to go. Don't do
man,
that, people.
All you got to do is just don't
Look,
touch it, okay?
If you
Ever.
do that at home, do not blame me for anything bad that happens.
Oh, man, yeah.
But surprisingly, when I took it apart, because, I took it apart, the disk drive type that was in it was exactly what I needed for one of the 360s that I already have. So I did a board swap, but it turns out that the drive was non-functional even after cleaning the laser. Now, it did try to, it pulled in the disk, it tried to read it, it couldn't. But in the end, that didn't work. And the disk drive that was in the other one, it intermittent reads. So I was able to, sometimes you'll put the disk in there and it'll work. Sometimes you'll put the disk in there and it just doesn't work. I don't know what the actual issue is. But I did the board swap over to the other one. The new drive didn't work at all. I moved the board back. It was doing the intermittent working again. So I'm going to need to take apart the other two and see if they have the correct drives in them. And it's the BenQ drive that I need. And try to make that work. So hopefully that'll work in the future. The other 360 that is in my collection is a Slim, so not many of the parts are going to be interchangeable, and it has an overheating problem. So I'm hoping that taking it apart and putting on new thermal paste will fix the issue. My wife likes the 360 more than, the one, because of the backwards compatibility things. So I'm going to keep one working all the time. It's also a good means of getting my son involved. And
You just got to do the thing where you just clamshell open it like I do my Raspberry Pi and just blow on it every.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I need a couple of cans of air, but probably also try and do thermal paste on them. It's also been a good means of getting my son involved, as he really enjoys watching me work on those and talking to me about what I'm doing. He also likes taking apart and working on whatever I have set aside as not worth repairing. Helps keep his hands busy. So that one 360, I don't mind if he takes that apart. He'd already been working on it some. Now, yes, I have been working on headphones again. Yes, it is probably some kind of addiction, and I should probably seek help. Most recently, I have been wanting to get the cables off the driver side of the One More MMCX builds and make the connector flush to the driver cup. I could have done this by modding the cup itself, but I had my concerns about the plastic of the cup holding up. I had one set of One Mores that I had not modded yet, and on Thingiverse I found a print for 10mm drivers with an MMCX STL already there. I printed it out, but I found that the cup wasn't large enough, and there was no actual hole for the MMCX connector. Like the image showed it when you looked on Thingiverse itself, but then when you downloaded the STL, the hole wasn't there. So I loaded it into Tinkercad and added an extension to the cup and put a hole in it to reuse some of the leftover connectors that I had stopped using for various reasons. It took a few iterations, but it was a very quick print, so it took me less than like 5 hours total to get a working model. And I really, really like how it turned out. And for the people watching on YouTube, let me just show you that real quick. I mean, that just looks super good. And it works really well. And my son also really enjoyed helping add to the Tinkercad file. I think I'm actually going to load this one on Thingiverse and maybe a couple of the ear cups adapters that I've done in the past. So, and he wanted to put a couple of designs on it. So, not this one, but I'm also going to add some beveling so it doesn't hurt the inside of the ear for people with smaller ears.
That's
Well,
me.
we'll see.
I got to be careful with
Yeah.
with the types that I have because they'll start to ache. I've got the OG Apple ones that used to come with the phones and stuff. Those, like, my left ear would ache a little bit after a little while of that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of sharpish on the corner.
Oh, that would be even worse. Yeah.
So I want to thin it out just a little bit, and I've already redone the STL, so it's a little bit thinner, and then beveled the edges, so it's hopefully won't press in to the cartilage of the ear. I gotta reprint and then take this apart and resolder everything, but I think it turned out like super good, and I posted pictures on the Telegram group, so a bunch of people saw it there. Now, my eldest daughter has spent the last couple of weeks using a Linux machine for applying to college and seems to really enjoy it and says that she's going to stick with it for a while. Considering that the college may have requirements that will necessitate her switching back to Windows, I'm going to have a USB stick at the ready for her. She really likes the computer that it's on, and it's a bit better than the old one, so I'll end up loading Linux onto her old one and use that as my spare PC after I put in the new hard drive. So that's sitting over there right now, and it's put on the back burner because I have no real rush for it. I did get the Pine phone yesterday. It wasn't supposed to show up until Monday. I don't know if anybody was aware that one of our listeners had offered to send us a Pine phone, and I jumped all over that. So yeah, I did get Ubuntu Touch loaded up onto it as a temporary, and yeah, I also was able to find a working Docker VPN instance. I know everybody's heard me complain about in the past that I wasn't able to find one that was working anymore with PIA, and so I was able to use that and set it up on all of my PCs again. And so I did finally finish writing all the scripts on my server for my file moving applications, and I'm set up to make all the machines download whatever I need directly to my server. Now I am planning with the Pine phone to test several other OSs and see what I think. It may be some time before I'm ready to send it to another team member, but if anything is going to get me back into programming, it's going to be this. I do see some rsync scripts in my future if I can get them to work. Now, some of the desktop functionality that I look for is really not there, and I can kind of understand why. It would be a bit of a battery killer on a system that can't keep up with battery as it is, but I'm hoping to be able to find some workaround for the functions that I want. I have not put a SIM into the phone yet, so I don't know about call quality, but I do want to try out some Google Voice on it and see how well that works. I wish there was a dedicated app for it, but no such luck. But I am on Ubuntu Touch right this second. I'm going to see what the Manjaro has in store for it. And that's really all I've been up to lately.
That's
You guys
it.
got any- Yeah, not much. Not
And
much.
you say I go long. Okay, there it was.
That was pretty quick.
Proof's in the pudding.
Uh-huh.
Only 10 minutes.
Oh, only. All right. Well, that'll do it for this half of the show. So we'll call it here, and yeah, we'll move down to the Linux innards as soon as I can find the music. Okay. So we thought we would take it easy, just a little easy. Not because we don't have ideas. We have plenty of ideas, right? That's the whole thing, right? Got all kinds of ideas, but. This is it's gonna be for me it's gonna be Linuxy because we're gonna talk about hobby.
Yeah.
Hobby is Linux.
I think we wanted to take a little break from in depth and just discuss more things that we like to do other than Linux.
Yeah, we got to discuss more things.
Yeah.
That's right.
Disgust. Disgusting.
Yeah, I mean my hobby is Linux and podcasting and Linux podcasting. So
I don't have any hobbies.
right, I mean I don't see them as hobbies. I see them as this is just the stuff that I do all the time. In my brain, I'm not like, you know what hobbies I have? Here's a list. No, none of them. I love gaming.
Yeah, this list that I have there will be completely different tomorrow.
Oh, and that's the other thing, right? Like my hobbies are not always set in stone, right? So, I mean, my hobby is Linux, right? So I've been dealing a lot with Btrfs. I've done that on Linux Mint. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I encourage anybody that is comfortable with doing some partitioning, not even sub-volume stuff. You don't have to deal with any of that. Just big old partition, plop Linux Mint on it, and you're done. If you're doing UEFI, you need the EFI partition, obviously, but then just everything else is Linux Mint. If you're doing BIOS or the CSM, the old style, then, I mean, Tony, you were talking about that yesterday. You don't even need an EFI partition or a special partition. You just create one.
Nope.
Plop Linux Mint on it. And the two root and home subvolumes are already automatically created for you. And if you're astute enough, you can go in after the fact and create more subvolumes and do all kinds of crazy stuff. But you don't need to.
You could start from scratch, though. First, build your computer.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me of the Carl Sagan quote, right? Like, if you want to bake an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Right? I mean, yeah, it's so, I don't know, it's perfect for that. So, right, I mean, so that's my hobby. That's what I spend a lot of my time on. I mean, obviously, I do gaming as well. Joe, you talk about Borderlands, I think, more than any other game. But I mean, you talk about a lot of games, and gaming is, I guess, a hobby of mine as well. World of Warcraft is what I play probably the most. I think I've been eyeballing Final Fantasy for a lot of reasons, and Bo spends a lot of time playing Final Fantasy, or at least he had. But you can do all of that on Linux too. So, I mean, is that a Linux hobby or a gaming hobby or what? I mean, of course, those aren't the only games. That Surviving Mars is a pretty fantastic game that I got for free off, I think, Humble Bundle maybe, or Good Old Games. I can't remember at this point. But, I mean, yeah, so gaming, right, I guess. And then cooking. Like, Joe, honestly, what I did was I looked at your list.
I
and
see
was like,
this.
oh,
I see
oh
this.
yeah, I totally do a lot of that. Yeah, that would be a hobby. Because Go ahead.
Here it says cooking. Is that a hobby? It's a requirement. The question is, are you cooking for fun?
Oh, let me put it this
Of
way.
course, you're eating the result, but are you cooking when you didn't have to cook because you enjoy cooking?
Could I eat out every day? Yes. Do I want to? Sometimes. But will I cook anyway? Absolutely. I have a
Then
good
yes.
time cooking, but
Then
I don't
it's a hobby.
consider. Well, yeah, that's what I mean though. Like, I don't consider it a hobby. I consider it straight up a requirement. Like, unless you want to spend 3-4 times the amount of money you need to spend on food, you'll cook.
Well, is your reason for cooking solely that it saves money, or are you cooking because you enjoy cooking?
Both.
Then it's a hobby.
So do you ever say, "Oh, I fancy a scone," or some bakery goods, and say, instead of going to the store and buying it, I'll go in the kitchen and I'll make it?
But I don't see that as a hobby. I see that as being
Well, I do.
Slightly
Because
more
most people would go
responsible
to the
with your money.
store and they go and buy a packet.
Well, yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of implications there, right? I mean, at least when you cook, you know what goes into your food. That's
Yeah.
a lot of it. For me as well. There's like a gajillion reasons why I cook. Only one of them is because it's fun, and all the other ones are boring. I like to save money. I like to know what goes into my food.
It's only the one that matters that turns it into a hobby.
I guess, but
and sometimes the boring ones are actually what make it enjoyable, because if you're doing it for health and you know what you're doing is good for you, then that also makes it enjoyable.
Okay, listen, the amount of chicken wings that I eat that I cook myself are not good for me. But,
It depends on how you make said chicken wings.
Yeah.
okay, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? They're done in the air fryer, so they have slightly less oil dripping all over them than they normally would.
Perfect, yeah.
But still, eating as many as I eat is probably not a good thing.
Well,
which is also why I
that's
want an
all
Apple
things
Watch.
in moderation. But
This
yeah,
is That's why I want an Apple Watch to tell me what my blood pressure is, so I don't die. Yeah, something like that,
well,
right?
there's no preventing it.
There's a balance. There's a balance here. Like, okay,
Yeah.
Apple Watch says I've had too many chicken wings. I'll cut back next week.
Next week.
But-
It's always next week.
Well, of course it is, because if I do it right now, that means I would have to not eat what's in front of me, and that's hard to do. But no, I love to cook. I mean, I'm not good at baking, but I like to bake a lot. I spent like an hour and a half with my daughter yesterday baking a plain white cake, and I mean, honestly, it was more fun because I was having her do all the stuff, her control, the mixer and the ingredients. And of course, secretly for me, it's like I'm sneaking a little math in there. Well, I mean, how many halves make a whole kind of stuff, right? I mean,
Well,
she's almost 6, so it's right about the time to be thinking about stuff like that. But
That's
yeah,
also good parenting.
yeah. Well, oh, thanks. I do.
well,
appreciate
cooking, if
that.
you're doing it right, is all math.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is, and I mean, baking is a hard science because you can't just go and change things without knowing the implication of them. With cooking, I think if you're like sautéing something, you can do it for an extra 30 minutes. You could, or 30 seconds. You could do it for 30 seconds less, whatever. And the result is really kind of subjective. But I mean, you change something in a bake, and it becomes a totally separate thing, or it doesn't come out at all. So
Right. Especially with baking, it could be a couple of grams of difference in an ingredient, and that will just ruin your consistency.
Yeah, baking is chemistry, and you have to treat it like that. Otherwise, you get some amorphous blob of something or other that doesn't. It kind of tastes right, but I mean, it doesn't look
Doesn't
right.
look very
it doesn't
nice,
feel right. Yeah, you can't frost that thing. It's just goop. Yeah, so I like it because of that. That's, I think, what makes baking so fun to me, I guess. I mean, you got to be right. You got to be right, and then you don't really know unless you've done exact measurements and everything that you were wrong until the thing comes out wrong. Anyway, so I'm trying to get my daughter into doing that kind of stuff as well. She has a lot of fun. When we were doing, she likes to. I guess a lot of kids like to do this, right? Where they have like a bowl and they just put all kinds of crap inside of it, and she calls it a potion all the time. So little clover.
Yeah, my kids do that.
Some clover.
Do a
some
Harry
grass,
Potter
some
on
dirt.
it.
Yeah, they used to anyway. They're a bit big for it now.
And that was she mentioned that, and I'm like, ooh, yeah, it's totally a potion. So yeah, keep making this stuff, and then I'll just let you do it forever, and then I'll eat your concoctions. That, I think, is the pivot I'm hoping for. And then you got pie down there too, Joe. Is pie its own hobby? Because now I don't know. I have no idea what's going
Depends on
on.
which pie you're talking about. If you're talking about apple pie, that's definitely a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's an extraneous hobby. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. Raspberry Pi, and it can be a hobby all on its own, especially considering just all the different things that you can do with a pie. I mean, it's not just about setting up a desktop; it's about the things you add to the pie.
Oh, Yusuf sorry, because I have to go back to this, because Yusuf said food recipes are actually open source. You can fork it and adjust some ingredients to your liking. Oh my God.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, that's kind of awesome.
Not only that, I think we just need to host recipes on GitHub now, so we can make forking really easy.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
matter of course now.
Oh, I like this idea.
Well, since I brought it back up, Joe, what's your favorite thing to cook?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean,
See?
probably burritos.
What? Okay, what kind? What are you putting in these things?
Well, you're not going to like it. But
Why?
I start with turkey, ground turkey,
Okay.
and taco seasoning, and then peppers and onions, and green peppers, and more onions, and then tomatoes and green chilies. 2 cans of tomatoes and green chilies usually, and then refried beans, black beans, 224 grams of cheese. Yeah.
That sounds like Chipotle, man.
It comes out like a burrito innards.
My favorite thing though is like because we have this place called Sharky's that it's like Chipotle, right? But I love asking them to put like way too much stuff in it. Oh, and you got to wait too, right? So
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, let me get some of those potatoes, and then they put them on there, and be like, you know what? Actually, let me get double potatoes. But they can't cheat you at that point because they've already shown you what one looks like. So if they don't give you a whole nother one when you ask for double, then it's like, come on, man, a little bit more.
Right.
But my favorite thing about that is that like
when they can't close it.
Yeah, it keeps growing and growing and growing, and then you watch them struggle to close it,
And
then
they just throw another tortilla on top of it, and they're like,
Yeah.
there you go.
Once they let out that sigh of I'm just like, you know what? Don't even bother, man. Just make it like one of those unclosable, U-shaped tacos.
Leave it open face.
That's fine. I'll eat it.
Open
I don't
face
care.
is fine.
I just love doing that to them. So Tony, what do you like to cook? What is your favorite thing to cook? Because it seems like everybody has cooking as a hobby now.
I've got loads of things. That,
No, you have to whittle it
I
down
How
to
do you
one.
pick
You
one?
have to choose just one.
Well, if it's
Protein
going to be
bars, pizza.
comfort food, it would be homemade rice pudding.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah.
I might need that recipe.
It's a secret family recipe, Joe.
Well, I'm sorry, it's one of those open source ones that just develops as
I
it goes along.
could go and look it up, but I want to know your fork.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, comfort-wise, I mean, if I'm trying to avoid the sugar, I'll put something like dried fruit in it, sultanas or, something like that.
Monk fruit.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one. I've never used monk fruit, but yeah, just something just to take the edge off it and sweeten it a bit without having to use raw sugar. But yeah, it's gorgeous. So much better than buying a tin.
Yeah.
And again, you know what's gone in it, exactly what's gone in it.
That's my favorite thing, man. It's comforting to know, right? I mean, even if you are putting horrible things inside of it, whatever, right? Like, you know what's going in it, so you can feel it. You can at least feel a little bit good about it.
Ooh, early morning French toast.
Ooh, made with sourdough bread.
Like 3 a.m. French toast.
Yeah.
Oh no, I can't eat that early.
With strawberries and maple syrup. Okay.
For me, it's very far and few. I do this maybe once every couple of months or something like that. But a good reverse seared steak and so when I say garlic mashed potatoes, I need you to imagine about 8 times as much garlic as you think you need for garlic.
Well,
we
we have different scales for garlic, so.
When you do your garlic, though, do you roast the garlic first so it's soft and gooey, and before you mash it through the potatoes? I
boil it with the potatoes. So I don't get the roasted flavor, but I extract all of the garlic, flavor out of it, and it infuses into the potatoes. Because that's one thing I've learned: if you oversalt something or you want the flavor to, mild out just a little bit, chuck a whole peeled potato in there, and it will soak up a lot of that flavor. Yeah. And then you take that out, and it's slightly scaled back in the finished result. So I mean,
yeah, but there's something about the flavor of like a caramelized garlic clove.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So
We're going to turn this into a different show. So
oh, it's gonna be. This is Foodcast or Stovecast. But yeah, I mean the thing about the steak though is that it's reverse seared. So I mean you do it in the oven. You put the temperature of the oven about 180 degrees, and you just let it sit there. Put a little thermometer in it. Let it sit there until it registers 5 degrees below where you want it. So if you want it rare, medium, whatever, then you take it out, let it rest for a couple of minutes, get a skillet. If you're doing it inside, or your grill if you're doing it outside, get that as hot as you can get it. And then you do 30 seconds one side, 30 seconds to the side, get the edges for a few seconds, get it nice and crispy. Oh my God, it's amazing. You can say sous vide all day, but again, it's got nothing on it.
I'm going to show some of my inner country boy here. And just say that there's nothing like a catfish stir fry.
Oh, I love me. Oh no, just fried catfish with a side
catfish
of
stir
fries.
fry. No, that's called fish and chips. And don't get me wrong, I love me some fish and chips. But a catfish stir fry, you get yourself some rice or some cauliflower rice, and maybe some Mexican seasonings for that. You get yourself some frozen catfish or fresh if you really want to, and some seared red peppers and onions, and you throw it all in the pan. You fry it up. You put some orange ginger marinade in there just for the flavoring, and you let that simmer down some. Oh, it is incredible.
Yeah, I love me some fried fish, and fried catfish is on another level. And just some fries, man. Just that's all I need. And
Well, the air fryer is great for that too. I mean, 12 minutes in the air fryer. You put the layer of catfish on the top, and then you put the fries on the layer below it, and then you let the grease from the fish drip down onto the fry. Yeah, I'm getting hungry here, and I'm blaming you guys, man.
Oh, it's fine. You can blame me.
Anyway, back to the topic.
Yeah,
Your
my
other
last
hobby.
thing. Yeah, my last thing was I read a lot, but it's mostly technical documents, news,
Hey.
and nonfiction stuff. But is that a hobby? So is that a
That
hobby?
still counts as a hobby. If you're doing
Yeah.
it for the enjoyment, that is a hobby.
All right. Well, apparently I have a lot.
You
of
might have a magazine subscription like Linux Format or
I used to
whatever.
Linux Admin Magazine.
Yeah.
Listening to podcasts, that's a hobby.
Oh, okay. Well, I do that too. Cool.
Go on, Joe. What have you got for us?
Oh, I got a list here, but we've already covered a bunch of it. I mean, the first thing on my list is cooking, and that's about talked out right now. And then I love biking. I don't do it as much as I used to.
Are you meaning cycling or
cycling.
motorcycling?
Cycling. Yeah,
Yeah.
not motorcycling.
Because in this country, if you say biking, you mean motorcycling.
Okay, no, see, with motorcycling, I have this thing about physics, and I understand physics entirely too well on what happens when you're going over 30 miles per hour without anything or surrounding you, and you suddenly hit something.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times.
So
yeah.
I'm a little leery about it. I have motorcycled before. I've dirt biked before. I've crashed into trailers before doing, insane speeds. But yeah, I'm just not into it right now. So I am into cycling. I love doing it. I just get on my bike and ride for miles. It's very cathartic and good for your heart. I love soldering. I love anything that needs to be, any piece of electronics that needs to be repaired. I love finding a way to do it. So yeah, me and my soldering iron, if I'm having a bad day at work, while I'm working, while I'm in a meeting, while I'm on a phone call, I'm going to pull out that soldering iron and I'm going to fix something. Electronics repair in general as well. And then I love weightlifting. I mean, there was a 3-week time frame there when 2 of my kids were in Florida and Kai was at driving school every day, where I went 2 hours, 5 days a week for 3 weeks and just hit the gym like it owed me money. And
except you owed it money because you were at the gym.
Well, no, I was actually on a free 3-month trial. So,
there you go. All right.
Yeah,
did you remember to cancel it at the end, or did you end up?
They never got my credit card.
Ah, beautiful.
So yeah,
it's like those free trials, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love weightlifting, and I know when we go back to the office, the gym at the office is going to be closed. I canceled my subscription or the fee membership to Planet Fitness because they're too far away. So, and then right now with all the variants out, I probably shouldn't be going to the gym anyway because of COVID. So I'm lifting in the garage again and trying to get back into that, but it's like 120 degrees in my garage. So
yeah.
And then gaming. I know we talked about that, and I know most people only hear me talk about Borderlands 2 and 3, and I am bouncing back and forth between those right now. But for PC gaming, Skyrim. It's been a long time since I did console gaming, but back in the day it was Fable and Fable 2. More PC gaming. I can't wait for the new Vampire the Masquerade game to come out. I played the first two. What was it? Bloodlines, and I'm not sure what the other one was, but those were really awesome. And then I enjoyed handheld gaming. I was also a major fan of the Sega back in the day, which is some of the reason that I enjoy the PSPs and vintage gaming. I love getting old systems and getting them up and working and making them work and showing that they work.
Yeah, my Nintendo still works. I love it so much.
Yeah. And then, that falls into the whole building electronics and making Pi builds. I haven't been able to find anything that really interests me for a Pi build lately that I want to get into, which is why I haven't done much with Pi. But it is something I enjoy doing. Finding a new way to use it, finding other things people have done, and modifying it to make it fit into what I want. Now, one of my major hobbies is also reading. I used to talk about it all the time on the show. Audiobooks. I don't sit down with physical books much anymore because I listen to the audiobooks while I'm doing all my other plethora of hobbies. And I kind of have to because I have way too many hobbies. And, I want to get back to cooking in just a second. I know we talked about that enough. But also, I collect comic books. And I forgot some stuff with the gaming. Like the tabletop gaming, I was really hoping that Bo was going to be on because he's one of the person that I know that does a lot of tabletop gaming.
Yeah, I don't do a lot, but I do some, and a lot of it ended up being in was that VTT, that virtual tabletop thing, and then Tabletop Simulator, which you can get off Steam, that is native to Linux, which is pretty cool.
Well, I used to host a weekly Magic the Gathering game. And then I used to also DM for the tabletop version of Vampire the Masquerade. And I've played D&D and Dragonstorm and various other tabletop RPGs. It's just not something that I'm doing a lot of recently. And then, podcasting as a hobby, a whole bunch of those. And then 3D printing and design. And now, also, one of the things I really like about cooking as a hobby is, like, yesterday, I just said to hell with it and grabbed one of my kids and said, come over here, we're learning to cook. And started handing her ingredients and made her start cooking. And then I did that most of the summer with my eldest child, who is now 18 and should be kicked out already.
Well, if she goes off to college, then she'll need to be able to cook.
Well, her going off to college is she's still going to be living here, but she's going to be going to the local community college. And we'll see how that goes for a semester. Otherwise, she's joining the military. And that's about it for me. You guys got any questions?
Yeah. How do you cook your ramen?
I don't.
Oh man, I love me some ramen. I gotta do me a ramen.
Don't get me wrong. I do like ramen. My problem is the salt content.
Oh yeah, of course.
I love me some ramen, and honestly, the whole thing is that my wife really loves cooking ramen. So if I'm craving ramen, I'm gonna ask my wife to cook it for me because she really enjoys it.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't even have to do the from scratch though. I've done that before. I mean, gotten a nice beef stock from bones, knuckles, tails, oxtail, stuff like that. but there's something to be said about going and buying like the 80-cent Shin Ramen spicy one and adding a whole bunch of stuff to it.
And
I think that's
I have
where
teenagers, so there's probably a couple of cases of ramen currently sitting in my cupboard. The cheap ramen, yeah.
Oh yeah, the Maruchan little like
Yeah.
18-cent each ones or 8 cents each, right? But even those can benefit from if you get yourself like a bag of mixed veg and
Just
steam
Chop
that.
it up, steam it up, add it
Yep.
in. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. And then what sounds gross, and I'm not really particularly fond of it, but my wife is sticking a slice of American cheese on top and letting it melt into the everything. That's
Just
kind of weird.
you get it up to a halfway decent rolling boil, and then you drop in an egg.
Oh yeah,
Just
so
crack that
basically,
egg, bam.
Yep, exactly. And then I'll finish it off with a little 5-ounce can of tuna. Drain that.
Now you're disgusting.
No.
No,
Drain that.
that's
Throw some tuna
disgusting.
in there.
No. You open that can of tuna in my presence, and I'm going to be physically ill.
Good. That's how I get rid of you. So once you've overstayed,
That's
your
how my
welcome,
wife gets rid of me.
I just start cracking open a thing of tuna. You'll hear the little, tss, and then you're gone.
Next thing you know, you're going to be talking about throwing pickles in there, and no.
I don't like pickles enough. Pickled ginger is okay. I'll throw some pickled ginger in there maybe.
No, anything that's been brined, I'm really not a fan of.
Yeah. All right, Tony. When's the last time you had a little bit of ramen?
Oh, it must have been a couple of years ago when I was down in London. There was a ramen shop on Tottenham Court Road that I went into. I had a veggie ramen with the poached egg in it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. I went to Hawaii years and years ago and was walking around the beach, and there was this little ramen shop, and it looked just like every ramen shop you've ever seen in an anime. And you walk in, I asked for, just your basic pork ramen, and they give you that swirly pork belly stuff. It was just the most amazing thing in the world. But I couldn't cook that if I wanted to. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I'm not good enough to make sushi.
I've tried.
Sushi rolls.
I can't get the rice right. I've tried a bunch of times, but the rice falls apart too much. So
my wife does a really good rice ball.
Oh, the onigiri, with the stuff in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are that's the Japanese version of a tamal, which is tamales, right? Corn on the outside instead of rice, and then whatever filling you want on the inside. They could be sweet or savory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I should learn how to make tamales.
They're
That's a lot of work, though. A lot of work.
Not when you get fast at it. When you get fast at it, the longest thing is like making the masa.
And then pepper spraying your entire house.
Well, don't make it spicy. Oh, don't make it too spicy.
What's the point in having tamales if they're not going to, burn?
That's true. But that's what I say about my curry. I make a Thai curry.
What's the point in having curry if it doesn't burn?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but you have to fry the paste before you actually do much with it. And yeah, that'll mace you right in the face.
Tony's all like, "Why isn't it my turn yet? Joe was done 5 minutes ago."
Yeah, no. Sorry, Tony. Go ahead.
Well, I've got, like you lot, I've got a few hobbies, but we've already talked about cooking a lot, but I started seriously cooking for myself probably about 35 years ago, because I've been vegetarian for over 30 years. Back in the day, you couldn't get all these fancy things in the supermarkets that you can get now for vegetarians. There was a couple of replacement things, but they weren't necessarily that tasty when you actually tried them. So I quickly learned to cook for myself. But I've also done, I used to do mass catering as a hobby. Got into that through working in a homeless project at Christmas in the late 80s, early 90s. And I was the catering manager for it. And we cooked for homeless guys for a week. We ran an open house for a week over Christmas for rough sleepers, and we were cooking for like 300-400 people a day, and that was quite interesting. So I ended up turning that into a little bit of a hobby of catering for people, and I used to do birthday parties and special events for people on a cost basis. It was mainly for friends and groups that I was involved in, so that was quite good.
So what you're saying is that in the UK there really is more than one recipe, which is boiled potatoes and veg?
Oh yes. Just we do have quite a nice cuisine of our own in this country.
Oh yeah. No, I had to get the stereotype out of the way real fast.
Yeah. But the great thing about Britain, though, is that we do enjoy multicultural food because all our, the history of Britain is we've been invaded so many times by different groups that our cooking is fusion food all the time. If you look into the history of British food, it is fusion food. These food comes from all over Europe, and then we've had waves of immigration all over the years. So things that you wouldn't necessarily think of as European food is actually come from Eastern Europe, with say the Jews that escaped from Russia and Poland during the 18th and 19th century. They brought over their food,
or it came from a colony.
Or it came from a colony, yeah. The soldiers brought back Indian cuisine from the Raj and all that, and of course, a lot of those people ended up coming into the UK as well in the 19th and 20th century. A lot of Asian people came over here, and of course, we had the Chinese influence. Chinese sailors came over, and big Chinese communities in the big cities in the UK. So
that's my favorite thing about immigrants, though. They bring the food with them, and on top of that, they bring stores with them. So like we have Asian grocery stores and things like that where you can go and buy stuff that if you went to I don't know, like a big chain, it would be $20 for some lemongrass or whatever. But you can go to the Asian market and then just pick up a ton of it for a couple dollars.
I used to live in East London, and big Asian communities in East London, and I could walk around the corner and buy a £half-pound bag of spices for pennies, rather than, like you say, getting a tiny little bottle in the supermarket for £3. It's amazing what you can get because of that. In Blackpool here, we've got a big Polish community, so you've got Polish stores and things like that, or some of the European supermarkets. We've got Aldi and Lidl here, and they'll do events for a week where they'll bring in some of the food from Eastern Europe. So we get the benefit of all that because of the immigration. So that's good. So I'm a bit of a food geek as well as anything else. I'll try new things as well.
I'm telling you, we could do, like, if we just swapped off every other episode, we could probably fill up a whole podcast with just cooking.
Oh yeah, easily. But
I didn't even get into
that
it.
I also make bread, and I've been making sourdough as well, and that's great.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't even get into making pizzas.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like we could just dedicate an episode to pizza, and we could share the recipe.
Yeah, I've got to try sourdough pizza. I've definitely got to give it a go.
That sounds good. Pizza margarita, right? With delicious.
So I've talked about this on the show as well. My hobby of restoring die-cast models, and that's fairly recent. I only started it at the end of 2000. Yeah, you've got your little one that I sent. I only started that in round about the end of 2019, and I'm well into it now. And actually, that fits in with Linux because when I'm designing things like decals and stuff like that for the models, I use my Linux box and I use the Linux software. So I'm kind of combining the two, using computers and doing the modeling. And then, of course, there's computing. I've been into the world of... I was into computers before I discovered Linux. But I got into Linux in around about 2006 when I was giving away free refurbished computers that I put back together from second-hand parts on FreeCycle. And they've got a rule that everything has to be legal. So you can't put a moody copy. You couldn't put a moody copy of Windows back on it.
Right.
So, and of course, it wasn't worth spending £50 on a Windows license for something I was going to give away. stuck Linux on it, and it got me into it. I'd heard about it, but I hadn't actually tried it until I started doing that. So that started my Linux journey off back in the mid 2000s.
So you're saying I got into Linux before you did? Wow.
When did you get into Linux?
About 2002-ish.
Yeah.
But same
I knew.
deal.
Cough. Ha.
Yeah, you've been in it for years.
No, I took long breaks. But no, my first Linux experience was, I think, 2000, and that was because of my roommate when I was living in the barracks. And
Right.
Yeah.
Nerd.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I had a work colleague when I was down in London, and he ran Linux, and he swore by it. He hated Windows. He was a bit Richard Stallman-ish. He was passionate that Windows was evil.
Yeah. I don't know about evil, but we do need those FOSS folks. That you need that that anchor on that side of keep everything free. I think that's very valuable.
Yeah, he was big on it, and he'd come to work meetings and bring his Linux computer to do his own, to do his presentation. Yeah. he was that set on
Star Office, yeah.
Yeah. So through Linux, it was I got into podcasting, which is another hobby, obviously. Started listening.
You're a podcaster? Hold on, what?
Yeah. Oh, is this a podcast?
No, it's just us talking on voice chat.
Yeah,
man.
we're just chewing the fat, aren't we? No one else can listen to us. It's only the three of us here, isn't there? But yeah, I was listening to podcasts, and I came across the Ubuntu, as it was called, the Ubuntu UK podcast, and what was the other one? But there was a couple that there was the Ubuntu UK podcast, and there was I'm trying to remember what it's called. Stuart Langridge was on it. It was the Birmingham crew. I can't just off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of it. But they started what became OggCamp, and that's how I met Ken Fallon through OggCamp. And he asked me to. He interviewed me, and he put it out as a recording on the show. But he said, "Go on, get off and do your own."
I'm pretty sure Ken walks up to random people.
Oh, he does.
Everywhere and says, "Hey, you should put up a podcast on HPR."
Yeah,
it keeps it going. So yeah. Well,
his old catchphrase is "You owe me a show," isn't it? So you owe me a show. But so I met Ken, and that was around 2012, 2013, and I said I'd do it, and then it was 2016 before I got around to it. But I eventually got around to it. Yeah. And obviously I've been listening to mintCast since, back in the day, since I remember Charles doing the show. So I must have been listening to it in its very early days before.
Must have been.
Yeah, because I remember Charles on it, and it became one of my regular podcasts. And then, of course, when the shout out came, I jumped on with you lot and been there ever since. But and then out of that has come Distro Hoppers with Moss and now Dale. So podcasting is a big part of what I do in my not so much spare time these days because of all the things I do. And Joe was talking about keeping fit and weightlifting and stuff like that. Well, I've been going to the gym for 3 or 4 years now. After I had my stroke, I was going to the gym to try and get fit again. Managed to lose 35 pounds with exercise and diet.
Wow.
Which anyone who knows anything about fitness knows that losing weight's 80% diet and 20% exercise to turn back up again. But I managed to keep the weight off for the last 3 years. So, but over the last since lockdown, I decided to, when the gym closed, I decided to make walking my exercise.
That's a good
So
hobby
that's
to have.
become and I'm now up to around about 10,000 steps a day as my minimum baseline, which is what they recommend anyway.
I
that's why I
used to
went-
do 10,000 steps a day
And now
before the
you're
lockdown.
million.
Before the lockdown. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I went out and bought the Fitbit, because it's easier if you're always wearing it, because quite often I'd got the app on the phone, but I'd forget the phone. So I'd lose what I'd done while I didn't have my phone with me.
If you
So-
haven't tracked it, does it count?
Well,
Tony,
it counts for me, but I also do these virtual walk challenges. There's a company called End to End, and they do virtual walk challenges. So I've completed 2 now. I've completed an island challenge, walking from the southern tip of Ireland to the northern tip, virtually, of course. And I've just completed a virtual North Coast 500, which is the coastal roads around Scotland. And I've just started a southern coast coastal path virtual challenge.
I guess
So
I do
it's
have
a
to
way
add
of
in.
it's a way of motivating myself to get out and actually walk every day.
I guess I do have to add in another hobby, taking up hiking with the wife. We're planning
Yeah.
on hitting as many of the state parks as we can, and at least the ones with hiking trails around here, and try and do that once a month.
that's cool.
Cool.
Hey, Tony Londoner was asking, was it Lug Radio, the name of that show?
That's it. Lug Radio.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember it. Lug Radio.
There you go.
And they
Good call, Londoner.
did a Lug Radio live, and one year when they did Lug Radio live, they did it on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday, Og Camp took over the venue, and then that became Og Camp became the event, and it started becoming a full weekend event.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Og Camp was Ubuntu UK podcast and the Linux Outlaws. If you remember Linux
I
Outlaws
do, I
with
do,
Dan and
yes.
Fab.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Don't
Don't they have another show now?
I've not heard from Dan for a while. Dan's been quiet for a while, but I've stopped. I need to check up and find out what's going on. But he had a new podcast that he was doing, and I've got it in my podcatcher, but it's not popped up for a while. So
Okay.
I don't know what's happened. But Fab was doing a podcast. I don't know what happened to that. But because he's back in Germany now, because he was in the UK for a while, but he went back to Germany. But yeah, so yeah, and then there's just the ordinary stuff that everyone else does,
Like breathing. That's a pretty
like
good hobby.
breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never really got into electronics, soldering and all that kind of stuff. If it's not plug and play, forget it. You know, I can pull a computer apart, I can stick a RAM in it, I can put cards in it and all that. But when you come to start tinkering with the actual board, nah, that's not for me.
Well, I guess that'll wrap it up for all of that. I imagine if we brought one more topic up, we'd go for another half hour. So we should probably not do that.
Yeah, as soon as it's
What
10
are you up
o'clock
to?
my time.
Yeah. So anyway, so we only have a couple of emails to go through. So if y'all would like, let's drop down to vibrations from the ether. All right. Surely I've done enough talking, so I'll let y'all take one of these.
I'll take Brad's.
All right.
All right. Brad Alexander says, "Hey boys, just a couple of things. First, eSound is a sound component from the Enlightenment window manager. I guess it spun off into a standalone app. Second, Leo, I have no problems with it. You have an absolute right to be wrong." And I'm going to interject here and say, well, have you heard the way he says Damon?
I've heard the way I've said demon.
ZFS is clearly superior to ButterFS. One of the benchmarks was writing zeros to one of the drives in a pool. In ZFS, That was one of the tests of pool recovery. In ButterFS, you would lose the pool. Now maybe the ButterFS folks fixed the problem, but ZFS has been proof against it for years.
Well, it's a good thing I don't run ButterFS pools of anything, huh? And hey, ButterFS is in the kernel.
Yeah. You still know how to be wrong.
Of course, I will continue to be wrong until the day I die.
So shall we move on to Liz T?
Yeah,
well,
go for it.
What's eSound? I mean, what does it do? What is it? Were we talking about
It's
that
the
before?
sound component from Enlightenment Window Manager.
Let me see. Hold on. Enlighten. I think that's how you spell it.
Free
eSound.
music player for
So
MP3
this is
music
like
streaming.
oh no. This is not like Pulse. Oh no, it is. The Enlightened Sound Demon. So this is kind of like a
The
Pulse
Enlightened
Jack.
Sound Daemon.
Yeah,
Demon.
Daemon.
Mm-hmm. No
Demon.
problem. No problem. Just cache it.
Daemon.
The demon will cache
Daemon.
it. And yeah. Okay, well that's pretty
See,
cool.
there you go, being wrong again.
Yeah, it happens. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I didn't know about that. I'll take a look at that.
So Liz T looks like she's. This is a follow-up email.
Yeah,
Awaiting your reply with a link. Some more info. Dell Latitude E5570 laptop, VGA, TV and HDMI monitor. Output both external are the same resolution and larger than laptop. I've had the same issue in the past. Back to Mint Mate 18.1 and a horrid experience with the touchscreen laptop that thought the external was a touch, but not. I'm thinking Mate needs work. I'm planning on trying other distros virtual, but the base is still Mint Mate, so the same issue. Wiping the system and install distro. That's going to be a while, but be nice to have another laptop to play with. But I'm really old, 64, and poor.
Oh, okay. Now, Liz, with Mate, I think we said it before, and you're going to have to look this up on your own, probably in the Arch Wiki, but if you really want to stick with Mate with multi-monitor support, you're going to have to do your own setup for X.
Ew.
Is what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
Is this multi-head right here? Arch Wiki? VGA left of HDMI. Look at this. You're going to have to do it with X-Render.
Yeah.
Ooh, gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you get that the setup for X-Render done right, you'll only have to do it the once. You add it to your startup, and it'll do it every time.
You know what? It's a shame Moss isn't here, because I remember him talking about how he had a way easier time dealing with X-Render using A-Render, A-R-N-R.
Yeah.
It's
if you want
to,
if you want to copy that link and send send it to Liz.
I'm gonna stick it in the show notes for now, and then
But I understand some of the reasons behind going with Mate, it being lighter weight and slightly less features than some other things. It's a bit simpler and easier. But you could try LXQT and see if that does any better.
Well, in the Linux Mint world, I guess it would be XFCE. Might be slightly whatever. But I mean, if you don't mind trying Ubuntu and dealing with all the snapification of things, then Ubuntu is a good choice.
Well, you can install LXQT on anything you want to.
Well,
but
true.
At that point, you might as well just use Xrender. It's going to be about the same level of difficulty.
Right. And so it looks like the solution is right here. It's XRNR -- output VGA1. So talking about your TV, I guess, -- mode. And that'll be the resolution that your TV actually natively runs at. And then position 1920 by 0. So I guess this would be like to the right. of your. Oh yeah, because otherwise it would be X0X.
VGA right of HDMI.
Yeah, so that would be 1920. So it's 1920 pixels to the right, assuming your other HDMI output. So output dash output HDMI 1 dash mode.
Yeah,
and
and
that would be the resolution of your other one. So the thing about this though is that when you're looking at it, you have to pay special attention to whatever you want on the left-hand side. You have to pay special attention to the pixels width. That is the number that goes in this spot right here. So it's super duper important that you notice that, and then this is the resolution, and then position 0x0. So
if you're having like black bar problems, which is scan problems, then the first thing to check is actually the TV. But if that's changing pixel to pixel on the TV doesn't work, then there's another set of commands that you would have to use to manually force everything to be a little bit wider or a little bit taller, so it fills up your entire screen, and that gets finicky and annoying, and it's hardly worth it.
Well, and now I'm looking at the next example that they have. You don't have to do that math. You just set the mode, the resolution here, and instead of the dash POS X0X and then having to do math to figure out where the right-hand side one is going to be, whatever the last one is. So if you're doing output HDMI 1 for HDMI, you set the mode, you can do left of, and then the name of the first output. So in that case, it'd be VGA 1. But there's more work you're going to have to do on this one because it's going to be unique to your setup. When you run xrandr, it will show you the active displays that you have, and that's what you're going to have to actually put in. To this command,
because it might not be called VGA 1 or HDMI 1. It could be something silly.
Right. So the more information that you have, the more information that you can send, the better we can. I mean, if you're not familiar with xrandr enough, or if you don't want to put the command together, if you can give us all the info, then we might be able to put a command together for you, and then we can likely help you set up a script and run that at boot and everything to make it look right.
Mm-hmm. And essentially, you're just going to take one of these commands or whatever command you generate yourself and run that in terminal and see if it works.
Yeah. And if it doesn't, you can reboot. It won't remember that stuff, I don't think.
It won't, as long as you're not, adding it to a startup or adding it to the X11 config.
Right. So cool. I mean, this is at least a resource to get you going. And then, like I said, if you had more information, send it to us and we can help you put that command together if you need. All right. Cool. Well, that was it for emails. There's a lot of chatter going on in Telegram and Discord, and some of those conversations get so long that it's not worth putting it into the vibrations because it would just eat up all the time and there wouldn't be any room for the email. So anyway, I didn't bring any of those over, but if you are curious or if you want to join that conversation, go check out our Telegram, Discord, or Matrix channel, which is tied into Telegram as well. So you can join one or the other in that case. And then, just join the conversation. All right. Well, that's it for vibrations. Let's head down to check this out. All right. Jingpad A1. This is that iPad Linux iPad thing replacement thing that is supposed to be really, really fantastic. There is, thanks to Londoner, we have a link to Learn Linux TV, who's I really enjoy this guy. Wow, if you just look at that video there, the screen is fantastic. Was that for real? I didn't actually get a chance to watch the video, but that looked fantastic. So anyway, I'll probably go watch this here in a little bit. But yeah, so an actual hands-on review of the Jingpad A1, which is supposed to be the Linux iPad competitor thing that runs actual Linux and not just, Android or something like that. This is real live actual Linux. Jing OS, I think is what it's called, but you can put whatever you want to on it. It's like the Pine phone, right? So thanks again, Londoner, for that one. That's fantastic. And what is this?
This is mine. I put this in.
What are we removing backgrounds for? What?
Yeah, well, actually, this was a tip I picked up on the last episode of Ubuntu Podcast. And it's a cracking little free tool, web-based. Just go to remove.bg, which links in the show notes, and it'll take away. You can upload an image if you want to get rid of the background, and it works. It's great. I just tested it out on an image a few minutes ago, and it works brilliantly.
So once
it's removed the background, you can download the image with the background removed.
That's amazing. This is something that I downloaded GIMP and created. GIMP is fine at it for the most part, but I mean, a lot of the edges end up jagged and not great. Krita does a bit better
really
job.
Good.
Yeah, Krita does a better job of the magic wandness of it all. But I mean, if I could just drop it in there and download what I want and then stickerify things, I mean, that's kind of the point. That's what I want, and I want to do it as fast as possible. This is amazing. So, cool. I love this.
Yeah, I thought it was quite cool. So,
The download for background remover. So, is there what do you mean, Leonard? The image that you get after the fact, or is there another thing called background remover? But anyway, so we'll come back around to that because I'm curious. I want to know more if there's a thing that I can do that is Linux or open source or whatever, even better. But for now, for local install. So is it off of that website or something else? Maybe. No, I don't know. I'll have to go check that out. But if there's a local one, I'd rather do that. That would be awesome. Either way, fantastic little thing. If you are not artsy, but you still want that kind of thing, check that out. And then next time, now I have to do math because I didn't write it down because I'm awesome. But our next episode is going to be 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on August 22nd.
22nd, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the next live stream is going to be 2 p.m. U.S. Central Time on August 14th. So go to the website. You can see they're already posted. Go check out when that's going to be, and then we're going to have links in the show notes and all that kind of stuff to convert the time if you prefer more of a different avenue of getting when things are. But I guess that does it for the show, huh? Yeah, and only not too bad. I mean, we started a few minutes late, so we're not too terribly.
Yeah, no, that's about right.
2 hour, yeah. So I guess that means, Joe, where can we get you outside of here?
Well, I'm on a couple other podcasts. You can catch me on the Linux Link Tech Show, TLLTS.org, or the Linux Lugcast. That's linuxlugcast.com. You can maybe find me on MeWe, or you can send me an email directly, jb@mintcast.org.
And Bo's not here this time, but you can get him at the undercastnetwork.com or YouTube Undercast Collective. And of course, they've got Crowbar Kernel Panic as well. Tony Hughes.
Yeah, you can listen to some of my old Hacker Public Radio shows. I'm on hackerpublicradio.org, correspondent PHP host ID equals 338. I'm on Twitter at TonyH1212. I'm on mintcast.org, th@mintcast.org, and I'm on distrohoppersdigest@gmail.com.
Nice. And Josh Hawk's not here either, but joshontech@mintcast.org, and then pretty much Josh on Tech everywhere. And of course, he's the other half of Crowbar Kernel Panic, so go check that out. You can get to it through our YouTube channel. So if you're going to the mintcast YouTube channel, we've got a link right there, just in case you can't find it. And Mike as well, Mike at mintcast.org, and Grouchy M on Discord if you want to go slap him around verbally or textually. And as for me, leochavis.org and at leochavis on Twitter, leo@c.im on Mastodon, and you can check out my other show, linuxuserspace.show. But before we leave, we want to make sure to acknowledge some of the people who make mintCast possible. Owen Peary for our audio editing, Josh Lowe for all his work on the website, Hobstar for the logo, InitRD for the animated logo in Discord, and of course, Londoner for our time sync, Bytemark Hosting for hosting mintcast.org and our Mumble server, archive.org for hosting our audio files, and of course, the Linux Mint development team for the fine distro we love to talk about every fortnight.
Thanks, Clem.
Clem.
Thanks, Gleb and Co. Ooh. Okay, hold up. All right, so Londoner says background remover. There's a thing. Okay, Londoner, how good is it? Like, is it really good? Because I got Pip right here. I'll go.
Stop in Audacity.
Same here.
Alright.
367.
Export as 64 kilobyte MP3.
Well, let's see how large the file is this time. mintCast, show audio, new folder, 367, audio.
Hold up. All right, so English to Hungarian. And he said type it that. Oh, no. Go back. Oh, no. How about a Hungarian to English? Let's do that. Oh, it doesn't let me. I gotta use Google. Fine. Huh. Demon. Huh.
Demon.
Would
Yeah.
you look at that? Other languages seem to disagree with you, Joe.
Because everything on the internet is correct.
It absolutely is. Are you kidding me? That's where I get all of my news. And that's why.
It's
I know
look.
everything.
We don't need to have this argument. It's demon. You're
No, we're
right,
good.
Leo.
Exactly, Tony. I'm so glad you've brought the truth to the podcast here.
I'm so glad to know that there's two of you that's delusional.
Well, that's more than you.
Well, I think you'll find most of the UK are delusional then.
This does not surprise me. There's a reason we left.
Oh man. All right, there we go.
I mean, did you see Brexit?
Oh, really? Oh, hold on. All right, Norbert says I was wrong.
Now, Joe.
What?
This is a family-friendly show. Let's keep it clean.
Yeah, I'm putting it there, and okay, so, oops. Yeah, it says D, demon.
Demon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
demon.
Well, that's how you say
Norbert-
demon.
well,
How do
hold
you
on,
say
but-
Damon?
Norbert is saying that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be more like how Joe says it.
Someone else who's delusional.
Yes. All right, Londoner gave us a +1 on demon, so that's 3-2. All right. Joe and Norbert on the Damon side, and we got Londoner, me, and Tony on the side. Ah, okay. You with the little accent is an A, so Damon. I gotcha. Okay.
In the same way you say way. Like,
Wait.
hey, way.
Yeah, that okay. I was wondering if that's what you meant, but yeah, I got you. That's spelled with a G or a B, depending on who you ask. All right, I think it's exported. As far as I know, I'm out of the. My file works, so I'm gonna check out this. I don't do much pipping anymore. Let me see, pip. I got pip, yeah.
Mine's heading
Yeah.
to drive now.
All right. Let me see. Pip search background remover. Is that what he said it was? Ooh. Okay, so Norbert's a half and half. I feel like that's a point for each of us. He says when he speaks English, he says demon though. Mm,
Ooh, 3.5 to 1.5.
that's it. That's it. I think
Like I
Norbert's
said,
just playing the fence, man.
it's okay for me to be the only one that's right.
But you know that's how English works, right, Joe? It doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. It matters what everybody says. And if everybody says demon, well, I mean, that's demon.
Well, it's okay for everybody to be wrong.
See, but that's the thing, though. It wouldn't be wrong if everybody says it that way.
Well, that's because you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And in 100 years' time, we probably won't pronounce it anywhere like that anyway.
I
No.
probably don't have a word for it.
We will have probably gotten rid of a couple letters and replaced them with others. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And we won't have F's for S's like they used to 200 years ago.
Uh-huh. But French will be exactly the same. They have a council or something.
Unless you're in
vote
New
on
Orleans.
stuff. Oh yeah, that's Creole.
Or
though,
Canada.
so-
Or
yeah.
Canada.
Oh yeah, Quebec is I hear they're their own brand of French.
Yeah.
Let me see.
That's because locally languages continue to evolve all the time. So,
Yeah.
and that's why you go to South America and they don't speak Spanish in the same way as they do in Spain.
Yeah.
Oh man, in the Spanish
Cuba.
and Puerto Ricans, they do this weird thing with S's where they just don't say them. It's weird. I don't know. Like I was talking about this with my wife the other day, and like the word estamos, like we are, right? It gets pronounced a lot in Spain and in Puerto Rico as estamos. Like what? What? What is that? You're missing letters. You can't just not say letters, man. But it reminds me of French too, where like half the consonants are silent.
And then you have those places that have been heavily influenced by the Portuguese language, which is
Oh Lord,
extremely similar to Spanish, and you start
it's
listening to
Spanish.
it,
Not quite the same.
trying to figure it out, and it's like, what?
Well, there's a lot of words that I mean that are directly related in Spanish and in Portuguese, but the way that they're said is way different. But yeah, Portuguese is Franish. It's like a French-Spanish mixture, and they just couldn't decide, and so they were just like, you know what, we'll do the French word for that one. No, the Spanish word looks cool for that one. And they just kind of made a mix and match hodgepodge of a language, and that's what Portuguese is. But it's pretty popular, so I can't say it's bad in any way. Just that's what it seems like to me. French and Spanish had a little baby, and it was Portuguese.
But my Spanish is terrible to begin with, and then I hear somebody speaking Portuguese, and it just makes my brain stop for a second.
yeah, that's the same way. I'm like, wait a minute, I knew that first word. What are you saying now? I lost you. All right, downloading background remover.
Oh, put a link in.
It's
Put a link in
a
there.
pip3 thing. Londoner's got it in the chat. It literally is just pip3 install background remover. Good, you're not kidding. Oh my God, Torch is apparently the library that it uses, and it's 830 megabytes. Good Lord. Well, you weren't lying, Londoner. That's huge. And that's why there's a website to do this. It's probably this in the background of that website, and they host the 1 gig of crap. Wow, that's very large. Yeah, Norbert says the most interesting thing about Portuguese is that it sounds way more like Romanian to me than Spanish, and Portugal and Romania are geographically very far from each other. Interesting. I've not heard enough Romanian, but I bet if I had, I'd likely agree with you. Londoner, what have you made me do?
I'm trying to find it in the chat and I can't.
Here, it's right. I'll put it in the chat again. There you go. Actually, I'll put it in Discord so we can
Okay.
have a thing of it. Just put it in public. Uh-oh.
Got you. Oh.
Something may or may not have broken. Pip is not very descriptive about whether or not something's going to work at the end.
Do you have to do sudo in front of that?
I didn't, but I think I installed pip3 in a way that I could run everything locally from my user instead of like I didn't put it in bin, or sbin or whatever. It runs out of homeleo.
Oh, I haven't got pip3 installed.
Tisk, Tony. I think it's the package is like Python 3-pip, I think. That is correct. So Python 3-pip, install that, and it should pull in all the repository or all the dependencies for you.
We had 12 people watching for a second there, like somebody just joined.
We're slightly interesting then.
And now we're back down to 11.
Okay, so then I just ran background remover after it just to see what it would tell me, and then it had to compile some stuff, so it's got to do that now.
Oh, I'm still installing.
Yeah, it's massive, dude. It really is a gig of crap. It's crazy, but that's fine.
Ooh.
But now I need an image. Joe, where can I find an image of your face?
God, it's installing all sorts of stuff.
I know, it's a lot, but it's
Probably in Discord somewhere.
No, I'm just gonna hold on. Don't turn your camera off. Give me a sec.
Oh, too late. Here it goes.
No. Actually, you know what? Tony is way better. His space is huge, so that's what I'm gonna use. All right, let's see.
Oh, I got an error.
Yeah, I did too, but I don't think it broke anything. That's what I was saying earlier about. I don't think Pip likes to complain, but it doesn't always mean that something really actually broke.
Test resources, which is not installed.
Yeah,
iDNA.
I got that too.
Can't install iDNA. No files were found to uninstall.
It's a good job I got a fast internet connection, isn't it? 831 meg.
It's not going.
Yay!
Is this image magic?
There's a lot of things that go into it apparently.
Oh, it's done installing. I'm looking to see if it added it to...
I've just finished downloading.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up, see how to use it.
Compiling modules.
Yeah,
I'm
tell me
trying
that
again.
too.
This might take a minute. Failed to import ahead of time compiled module. No.
Mine's frozen.
And
99%.
failed with exit status 1.
100%. Come on. Come on.
Oh, hold on.
So yeah, it failed.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, mine failed.
Yeah. There's a bit of
Error code.
Okay, it's CLI.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Error
it's background
code
remover
1.
-I and then the path to the picture, and then -O and then the path to the output file.
Desktop.
On that one. But holy crap, apparently you can do video too. All right, so I'm on their webpage. It looks like you might have to do something else and force specific versions of things. You need Python 3.6 or lesser. The dev version of the same thing. And then a stable version of Torch, which it looks like in the thing they're using version 1.7.1.
Okay, I have this image of bushroot.
I think I'll just use the web implementation for
Yeah.
the simple
Well-
things I need.
Yeah, for now, I think
Bushroot.
I will too. But I'd like to get this to work because if you can do video,
Ah,
that's really
yeah.
cool, though.
/home
Because-
/ Joe
And that's way better
Desktop.
than some web app.
/ slash
So I'm gonna look into this. This might end up being my wanderings next time.
bushroot.
I'd like this to work. Super cool. All right, y'all. I think I'm about done.
Okay, guys.
I'm testing this right now. Let me see if it'll do it quickly.
I'll stick
My-
around for that.
Audio is in the Drive folder.
Hooray!
Yeah, I think
So-
it's going to fail again. I'm seeing this failed to import ahead of time compiled modules again.
Okay. I'll see what's up with it. Yeah, it looks like this PyTorch probably has a lot to do with it. I'll take
Yep,
it with it.
failed.
Oh, boo.
I will check and see if it
Hey,
generated
Mark.
a file. No, it didn't.
Right, I'm going to get out of here.
All right. The other M says it's the sibilant S in Portuguese that weirds out the foreigners.
Night, guys.
See you later, Tony.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. I'm going to go and kill the live stream. So those of you that have hung out this long, thanks so much.
We
hanging out.
appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So we'll be back again on Saturday. I think I might not. But anyway, I'll figure out what's going
Yeah.
on. And then Joe will solder.
Or something. If I'm the only one on again, I might solder. I might just, take apart a PS3, clean it, and put it back together or
There you
something.
go. Yeah. Later, Londoner. Thanks for coming. And everybody else that came, thanks again. Y'all have a good one. And I'm going to go kill the stream. See you later, Joe.
Later.